Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Semester is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes. Yeah.
Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you. Blind ambition.
Excuse me. That was not a sound.
Good start.
Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast.
Yeah, we'll just go. Welcome to.
And we're back.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We're on episode 100. Not 103 times, but I'm just emphasizing we're on episode 100.
Did you have to specify that?
I did. I have to.
Nice.
It's a glorious time, despite what this weather's telling me outside. But as you guys can hear, I'm joined by familiar faces, roommates, guests, co-hosts, all that good stuff. Antal Cool is here. Joey's here.
Mm-hmm.
Stoges is here in spirit, but he's, he's somewhere, but he's not here. But he's not here, but he's here. But shout outs to him if he's listening. How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm here on a Sunday. What does that tell you?
You're good too. I'm gonna say.
I'm fine. We're all fine. We're all happy.
Yeah, we're as happy, I guess, as you can be on a Sunday morning at, what is it, 9:50 a.m.
9:50 a.m.
Do I want to run? I'll run through the top listeners today. We'll do that.
I don't think we've done that since I've been here for a while. So let's do that.
Alright.
I just remembered something.
Jesus Christ! Thanks for waiting.
No, it's just that we should probably mention this is our 100th episode.
He did.
I did.
Did you not hear him do the 100 thing like 4 times?
No.
Sorry, Sensei.
It's gonna be one of those episodes.
It's a tough time.
Sorry.
He not only said it, but then had to specify that it was like he was just doing a bit.
But, yes, we're on
This is what
episode
happens
100.
when you're too cool for school and you just skip the format.
But yeah, we are on episode 100. We made it. So shout outs to the top cities this week. So coming in at number 1, I'm probably gonna say this wrong. Kittanning, Pennsylvania. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Worthing in the United Kingdom. Shout outs to you guys. El Cerrito, California. Number 4 is Lexington, Kentucky. And number 5 is Charlestown, Indiana. And right below Charlestown was Brea, California, and New York, and Brooklyn, New York. So shout outs to you guys for listening. Appreciate it. Shout outs to the people on Twitter who have posted and reblogged, everybody on Tumblr who has posted and reblogged, all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys. But yes, we are here. It is episode 100. We'll start off with news and notes for the week, and then we will jump into questions that all of you good people submitted. Some pretty interesting questions. So some of these are a little off the path, but I'm glad they are, because it'll give us time to ramble and rant and just,
That's
Explain ourselves.
Yeah, there we go.
That's
it'll be one of those episodes.
Kittanning, by the way, is by Pittsburgh. I just looked it up.
No.
So technically, Pittsburgh is listening to us.
Shout out to you guys.
No international markets. That's interesting. We normally have like a surprise. Well, we did have one, but
I think like way down the list. I think France was it France? So somewhere way down was like France, and then I think like one random person from Spain who probably clicked the link on accident.
On
found their way
accident.
here.
Normally it's like Calcutta, India. There's like Egypt. This time it's Kittening. Hi, Kittening.
Yeah, I don't know.
We
But-
love you the same.
Right. Equal opportunity. El Cerrito, California is a new California place, though. Stoges, I feel like Stoges goes to like every city in California and just like he made us a business card that we
I'd
don't
like
know
to.
about.
It's you think a business card. I'm thinking he's just hanging up loose leaf papers, like at bus stops.
Oh man, but whatever he's doing, it's working somehow. But all right, news and fight announcements for the week. It's a lot more than what I thought it was gonna be. So I'll breeze through rapid fire some of these, and then if we feel the need, we will go back in detail and talk about some of these that went down or that are gonna happen. So the big one, as far as I know, the event has yet to be announced, but it'll be in January. We'll have Robbie Lawler versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Also on that same card, allegedly, will be Paige Van Zant and Rachel Ostovich. Zabit Magomed Sharapov finally has a replacement. He will be fighting Brandon Davis at UFC 228. Another fight, which I want to say, I don't know if this was you, Joey, who predicted this. JDS and Tai Tuivasa will be headlining UFC Fight Night 142. I feel like we mentioned that somewhere. Like we guessed that was going to happen. Somebody brought it up and it happened. But that'll be going down. Hakeem Dawodu and Kyle Bochniak for UFC 231. Tim Means versus Ricky Rainey at the TUF 28 finale. Lear Latifi and Corey Anderson at UFC 232. Antonio Carlos Jr. and Elias Theodorou has been moved from the Sao Paulo card to UFC 231. Scrolling down, Kara France and Ashkan Mokhtarian at UFC Fight Night 142 for the Beijing card, and I think that's in November. We got Rashad Coulter and Yao Zhang Hu, and also Shayna Dobson versus Yanan Wu. UFC 231, Chad Laprise and Diego Lima. UFC Milwaukee, Eric Cook and Dwight Grant. And in Bellator news, Robson Gracie Jr., brother of Henzo, will be making his MMA debut, I want to say, at welterweight against Peter Nascimento. That'll be at Bellator 208. So that's all I got for fight announcements. The news I'll save for a little bit because we'll get into the Cerrone situation, I guess. I guess for starters, how do we feel about Robbie Lawler and Wonderboy?
Seems kind of mean. Well, like back before the McDonald fight, I had picked Wonderboy to be the guy to take the title off of Lawler, and he's only gotten more beat up since then. So I can't imagine it goes well for him. Barring landing something big.
I'm more curious if this is the main event or not. Because I believe that this might be the same card that they're apparently trying to patch up Romero and Paulo Costa on. So, I mean, over 3 rounds, I guess I'd give Lawler a chance to hit something. I mean, over 5 rounds, I would give him a chance. But over 3 rounds, I think Wonderboy is too technically smooth to get caught with anything. Even when he gets bored. Because I think sometimes he does get a little bored. That's about it. It's one of those fights that doesn't make sense, but it'll pop a number, so I guess it does make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who happened this one. I think I'm leaning more towards Wonderboy, but Robbie's crazy, so who knows how that'll go. The Zabit Magomed Sharapov and Brandon Davis. I have to be honest. Like I wanted to be like hype about this. And like I'm not. Like, I'm glad Zabit did get a replacement. So I'm glad he's just at least fighting somebody. I don't know. I'm not like too. I'm gonna watch it because I just want to see Zabit do Zabit things. But I don't know. This maybe I'm just a Debbie Downer. This I saw this and I just kind of like okay I guess.
I think that's
it's a run back of the Bochniak fight, isn't it?
No, I think Bokniak is a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think Zabit probably gets Davis out of there. I don't know if anybody.
Yeah, I think he's gonna tool him. Like, I don't think this fight will be close. But I don't know.
Probably a little closer to the Santiago fight. In terms of ultimate result. It's a filler fight, and this is again like another problem that they're having. They have to find. Nobody's gonna take the Zabit fight on short notice. The same way that nobody was gonna take the Peter Yan fight on short notice, so they had to go and find some guy. So your hopes rely on guys like Brandon Davis, who will fight anybody because that's the only way they're gonna keep their spot, or signing some random dude who nobody's gonna be excited about.
Exactly.
There you go.
I guess I'll say though, at least I don't want to see like a slight against Davis. At least he is a guy who will come forward. So if anything, this fight will be entertaining. I don't know. I guess I just want to see Zabit take that next step up, or just I don't know.
Yeah, I think that even if they found a guy, like even if they found Andre Fili, so to speak, it's not the Yair fight, so it wasn't going to be like it was going to be a disappointment no matter what.
Yeah. It was kind of, I ain't gonna say a lose-lose, but like you hear Zabit Yair and you just think of all of the crazy movie kicks and like wildness that could potentially happen, and any other matchup unless he's fighting like a top 5 guy, it's just kind of like a little more to be desired. But it'll be fun either way. It'll be violence. There'll be Zabit things happening. So I'll still be tuning in. JDS and Tai Tuivasa. Is this the? I think we talked about this before, but like what does this what does this mean for JDS? Like if he loses,
that he's a slightly lower ranked heavyweight than we think he is now. Because like, I mean, like he's still better.
His name changes. Is that all you're saying?
Yeah, like that's like. We know he's not competing with the Stipe's and the like the very, very top of the division. Like if he was to fight Curtis Blades, for example, I think he'd probably get taken down and smoked. But at the same time, like, do I expect him to lose to the number 16 dude on the roster, like a heavyweight? Like, no. He's just kind of like he's just in that weird limbo space with Alistair Overeem, where they're still too good for most of the division, but just physically they're just not able to keep up. Like I think he beats Tuivasa though.
I would bet so.
Yeah, I would say if Tuivasa, and not a slight against Arlovsky, who I love, but if those two had to slug it out for 3 rounds and Arlovsky did as well as he did, I don't see why JDS can't do the same, possibly better.
Right, and I don't think Tuivasa has that like Francis Ngannou one punch and you're done power. I think he's just much more of a dynamic dude who he's out here flying eating guys into like KOs, even if they are ridiculously slow.
Yeah, like there's a. That's what I'm most excited about, to be honest, about this fight, is that I don't think Tuivasa's fought an athlete, and even in his current form, JDS is still probably a very good athlete for heavyweight.
Yeah.
So I want to see how he deals with the fact that Dos Santos is not going to be there for a flying knee. Like, there's just no way that that's going to happen. Now, if it happens, I will be here. I will be on the next one, and I will absolutely admit being wrong. But I don't see a flying knee, whatever. So I'm curious to see if he's prepared for the fact that he's going to face Arlovsky's a good heavyweight still in his current age and whatever the case may be. But I want to see how he deals with the fact that he's in there with somebody who's genuinely no qualifiers really good. Still.
Yeah.
I'll be on the. I think that because when I was doing the article for June, like I was breaking down who he comps to, and JDS is one of the guys that he statistically he matched up with JDS and Kane and like guys who came into the UFC and their first 2 fights were KO wins. So he's on that trajectory, and this is an interesting kind of challenge for him. I wouldn't have put this fight together, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. I especially wouldn't do it in Australia, where it seems like anytime they try to do a hometown guy, like coming out party, something goes wrong. I wouldn't.
Yeah, for real. Why don't they ever just give them a layup at home?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Or
I mean,
at least somebody who's
I think
like
they've
a
given him.
stylistic like
I mean, you want to do Cyril Asker again?
No, like I'm trying to think who at heavyweight could Tai Tuivasa beat and it would still be like a top 10 dude or a top 15 guy.
I mean, I would say Oleinik, but Oleinik's fighting in Russia.
Yeah, he's tied up.
Oleinik, Tybura.
Tybura would be the worst one, and here's why: because I think Marcin Tybura would take him down and just kind of lay on him for 5 rounds. So I guess you kind of avoid that. Like, if he loses to JDS, it's like, look, he got knocked out by one of the greatest heavyweights ever. Whereas if he loses to Marcin Tybura, it's like, oh, we did that. Like,
Right.
we would absolutely be lambasting them if they did Tybura and Tuivasa in Australia.
And that's not how you want to start, like, because I think he just recently signed a contract for like 6 more fights.
Yeah.
You don't want to start off your new contract with a top Bora L. I don't think that's a.
I'm trying to think of, because I think Anakel's right. This is not a fight you would do like in Australia, but I can't think of a better name. Arlovsky, maybe. I mean, not Arlovsky, Overeem maybe, but
Like Reem at least has the fatal flaw.
But I think they're still putting his skull back together. Like, I don't think that I can't see him fighting anytime soon.
Yeah, he probably needs to chill out. I rewatched that elbow again the other day. Jesus Christ.
Is there
I probably have to like peel him off the floor. That was brutal.
a little rude, don't you think?
Eh.
Is that the same card as that they're apparently doing Tyson Pedro and Shogun on?
Apparently.
How is Shogun is just like
A top 10 light heavyweight?
Stop.
How is it?
Stop right now.
I just get amazed. Like, he is just still out here. Like, so he's never gonna leave. Like,
I mean, it's 205.
Like, I think for him to leave, like, the UFC somehow would just have to shut down and close its doors. Like, that would be the only way we get him out of here. Like, other than that, he's just gonna keep showing up.
I mean, but realistically speaking, like, I want to say, like, retired, but Little Nog is about to, like, co-headline an event. So, at 205, anything's possible. It's the Dreamland division.
That is true.
How do you feel about Dawodu against Bokniak, by the way? Wanted your opinion on that, both of you.
I think entertainment value-wise, it'll be fun. I just don't. There's a part of me that's afraid that I just don't want to see Dawodu take another step back, because his first fight, we all saw how that went down. Second fight, much better. Now he's right back in there with I don't want to say a wolf in terms of, like, not like Bokniak's like a world beater, but like it's a fight I think it's the fight that he can lose. But I don't know, man. Bokniak's a fun guy though, so I mean from an entertainment standpoint, I guess I'm all for it. Like, I don't see any way that this fight is boring. But at the same time, it's the UFC. Like, Dawodu at this point, like, even when they quote unquote, ease you up, like, you're still gonna have to fight tough guys. And Bokniak's just one of those. He's just one of those guys. So no, I like this fight. I think it'll be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm cool with it as well. Like, I want to say that, like, his first loss didn't count or anything, but like, what can you really learn from that besides, don't throw naked kicks? Like, I would like to see Dawodu pushed, like, in a fight, not like marketing wise, like just somebody who can keep a pace and who will stay on him and stuff like that. So, and who's probably a little better than Austin or that. So, like, I'm good with it. Let's see what happens.
All right.
I'm surprised nobody rejoiced because of, anti-cool with Rashad Coulter, the GOAT heavyweight.
The greatest heavyweight of all time. They're having him fight the Chinese heavyweight, whose name I forget.
I was about to say
Zhang
actually,
Hu.
Sensei nailed that one pretty well. I was impressed.
Yeah, Yao Zhang Hu.
Yeah, that guy.
Who, if I remember correctly, his first fight was him getting taken down by Cyril Asker multiple times before getting choked.
Yep.
So, there's finally somebody he can beat.
We believe.
I believe in him.
We believe.
We do. Go to Beijing, Rashad, and go put in work.
Hey, where did they find this guy?
They had a fight set up for Asker, and I think the dude who he was facing got popped by USADA or just got hurt, and they needed a heavyweight on 3 days' notice, and so they just snagged a dude. And they were kind enough to just, I guess, let him. They were like, "We're gonna come back here, so we might as well hold on to him."
There you go.
I was just surprised they found a Chinese heavyweight. Like, that is impressive. That is hard level matchmaking.
Like, I think like Chinese heavyweight, and then I think that the sumo dude from like Road.
I'm saying, like, I don't know. I don't know where they found a Chinese heavyweight from.
Hey man, somebody doing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of homework digging.
I hope like your signing level. Like, I'd like to believe that when the UFC, they're matchmakers, they get bonuses based on how well they sign guys. I hope whoever signed him got a big bonus. Because it's like it's more impressive to me than signing a top level anything to find like a Chinese heavyweight of note.
At the end of the office day, you get the find of the day bonus. Yeah, here's a $50 gift card.
It's like he doesn't have to win anything to be impressive.
It's just like his existence.
Right. Yeah, it's like how did you find this guy?
That is a lot. He digged in all four corners of YouTube.
So I'm on Tapology and I'm looking at their Chinese pro men's heavyweight rankings, and there are only 26 of them. But
so
the first 5 are not Chinese fighters. They're just dudes who fought in China. It's Mighty Mo, it's Gluhov, it's Sokaju, it's Jeremy May, and Hyungmin Young. So, and then you have Lahan Wu, who's fought once since 2014.
I'm just saying, whoever found this guy deserves the bonus.
That's a bonus promotion.
That's a corner office type.
Right.
That's the head of Chinese operations right there.
I tip my hat to the Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard or whoever.
He needs a crown on his cubicle. Like
Shannon Rich is number 11.
I just don't believe that there are Chinese heavyweights. There's the guy who Top Rank found.
Dong.
Who I think they then got rid of because I haven't seen him in like 6 years. Since they put him on the Horn Pacquiao card, and he scored the knockout with the shoulder punch that Teddy Atlas was complaining about.
Right.
So there's that guy, and then this guy the UFC found, which is amazing. I have no idea.
I'd like to point out that guy you just mentioned won like the bronze medal for boxing at the Olympics.
What does that mean? What does that really mean?
It means he's just as good as Deontay Wilder.
Dude, I want to see that guy fight Tyson Fury.
Ooh.
I want to see that more than I want to see Fury Wilder now.
You really?
Because it's like Dr. Robotnik against, God forgive me, Dr. Robotnik versus like the guys from China who bootleg the old Sega games. So now it's like Robotnik's coming for all that royalty money he's missing out on. Because how's he gonna fund his nefarious operations, turning small animals into robots?
Oh man.
Huh.
Never know.
You've ruined Tyson Fury for me, by the way. I can never look at him again without seeing.
I told you. Tyson Fury has been Dr. Robotic this entire time, and I uncovered it. I found it out.
Oh, my
I'm
bad.
trying not to. What's up?
My bad. He won the silver medal, so he's actually better than Deontay
Better
Wilder.
than. So then it's a completely competent fight. Then
It's the fight to make. You can tell because I think his best win is Peter Grimm.
And I mean, look at it this way: they're both tall,
Hey,
genuinely tall people.
There we go. We should be matchmakers.
I feel
Our
like we
promotion
just
might not.
made like what stadium we selling out with this bad boy?
the Olympic Stadium in China, the Bird's Nest.
I'm thinking of the one at the North Korea one that's like 120 some thousand people.
Except you sell no tickets.
I don't think we can sell any tickets because I don't think we can have Tyson Fury on a microphone against the Chinese opponent.
I mean, none of them will understand what he's saying, so it's fine.
It's not that we can't, we shouldn't, but
Yeah, I don't want Tyson Fury in front of a live microphone against the Chinese opponent. I just reconsidered this.
we'll we'll let him talk and then we'll overdub.
We'll dub
his. We'll dub his words with our own trash talk that we made up for him.
PG trash talk.
There we go.
Not offensive trash talk.
Yeah, it'll work out somehow. People got to see the fight, so we'll make it happen. Before we get to the Cerrone beef, on a more somber note, because we didn't get the chance to touch on this last time, because I don't think we saw the article till right after we finished recording, about Kid Yamamoto battling cancer.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, wanted to give well wishes to him. He is one of my all-time favorite fighters. It's crazy to think that at one point the lighter weight classes just didn't get a lot of love, and now they're just that's kind of the place to be. That's where, at least in my opinion, where all of the best fights seem to happen is in the lighter weight classes. But he was one of those guys really, really early on who was kind of holding that torch for the little dude, so to speak. So definitely well wishes to him, man. I'm not sure what kind of cancer he has, because he just put out a quick little Instagram post. He didn't really go in too deep with it. So but yeah, well wishes to him, man. Definitely hope he beats that. I would be devastated if I woke up and saw that he passed from cancer. That's not a headline I don't think any of us want to read, but yeah, well wishes to him. Keep fighting a good fight, man.
Yeah.
Cancer sucks.
Yeah. All right. So before we get to questions, I guess we'll unpack this Cerrone beef. I don't know, Joel. You said you've been kind of keeping up with this. I'll let you lead this one off.
Well, I don't want to misquote anybody, so I'm trying to remember it as best I can. From what I gather, obviously they announced Donald Cerrone against Mike Perry, and Cerrone was basically told by Jackson Wink that they're going to go with Mike Perry. He's going to be the fighter that they're going to be dealing with. And so Cerrone, in his mind, was kicked out. And apparently this was a long time coming. It seems like he's had issues with not so much Greg Jackson, but Mike Winklejohn. So he was going to go train at his ranch, and I think what escalated it was that Greg Jackson said, well, I'll go to the ranch and I'll train with you. And Cerrone's attitude was, you're going to be with this guy in the gym all day, and then you're going to come and train me, and then you're going to go back to the gym to this guy. And apparently there's just been a whole bunch of problems with Winklejohn and Cerrone. Winklejohn alleges that Donald Cerrone is not a good teammate, that he's never there for anybody's camps. He's always kind of doing his own thing. And that's the opposite of how he believes the gym is built in terms of the brotherhood. And Cerrone's attitude is that Mike Winklejohn has turned it into a puppy mill, was the exact term. So his attitude is that, people pay money to go and train with the top guys, and I guess he feels like it's being commercialized, and that maybe the spirit of Jackson Wink has been sucked out. I don't know. It got nastier kind of as things progressed, because other people started getting involved. Diego Sanchez had his 2 cents about how Cerrone was being disloyal or whatever. And then Mike Perry kind of commented, and it feels like Cerrone, again, I'm not at the gym, not at that gym. It kind of feels like Cerrone's, he feels betrayed, which I guess is only natural. but then again, I guess he also doesn't know the history of Jackson Wink in terms of their choosing guys over other guys when it comes to fights being put together. I guess it's one of those situations where you never think it's going to be you until it is you.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of sad because it's public and it's become a public issue. And you kind of can't, Jackson Wink and Donald Cerrone just feels kind of iconic together. So their split was the fact that it's so nasty in public has been kind of a bummer. But that's basically it. It's basically that Jackson Wink is going to train Mike Perry to fight Donald Cerrone, and Donald Cerrone's upset about it.
I feel like for me reading this, the most, I don't want to say disturbing, I feel like this makes it sound like I care about this more than I actually do. But like one thing that kind of jumped out at me, because I didn't watch the whole Rogan episode, I just watched like the 17-minute clip of just him talking about that. And like the one part he said that just kind of jumped out at me was like, how he was saying now that like Winklejohn has taken over, apparently just random Joe Schmoes off the street, if you got $150 that you can pay, for your little monthly fee or whatever, you can just come in and just start like sparring with Holly Holm.
Yeah, that's
like,
worse.
And that's kind of, if that's true, that's wild. Like that's kind of disturbing.
Oh, he also did not to jump on you because I think you're right. He also alleged that there's a wrestling coach at Jackson Wink that is selling steroids or has been selling steroids. Just that's a big part of the story I forgot.
Like when I used to like read up on like gyms and like the people like, because back before Jackson Wink became like a fighters camp, like before they moved to the new venue, like I guess they were just like a gym for everybody, right? Like a normal like family gym.
Something like that.
Yeah, so I would go and like read stories about like how all like half the gym members are like motorcycle gang members and would like just be doing meth in the parking lot, and like they would be selling drugs at the gym.
You got to get your kick somehow before you begin training. You got to get that up.
Exactly, but like it's not surprising to me that if like somebody in the gym was actually selling like drugs or steroids or something. And we forget, like, there's a business. Like, I can't be mad at Wink for, like, deciding to go with the guy who probably has more fights ahead of him. Because fighters do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like Cerrone is one of Wink's fighters. Like, Cerrone has his own striking coach. He has the ranch up in Colorado where he spends most of his camps. Like, I'm not going to be upset that Wink's like, okay, this guy who's never here, or who's rarely ever here, is going to be fighting this guy who wants to pay me probably good money to train him.
Well, in his defense, he said he made the ranch because he couldn't get the training there, apparently.
Well, I think that's if you watch like any of his things, it's like, well, I want to train at like 8 o'clock at night because I spent like 3 to 5 going waveboarding or something. Like that's like Cerrone's schedule is fucking insane. Like watching some of those embeddeds and countdowns, he's like, yeah, I'll be training at like midnight because like tomorrow morning I want to go like skydiving. Or I want to go ride a bull, and they're only open from like 8 to 9, so like, whatever. So it makes sense to me that he couldn't get the training he wanted at Jackson, because they have from what I understand, they have a class set up. So like all the fighters come and they take one big class, and no, it's not like built around these camps aren't built around each fighter, unless you bring in your own guys like Alistair Overeem. Like, Overeem still has his coaches, who he's been working with his whole career. And so I can't be mad at Wink for being like, I'm going to just go with Mike Perry. From what I can tell, he was upfront about it. Like, this isn't, I'm not going to train him. And then, like, he shows up the day of the fight, and all of a sudden, Wink is in Perry's corner. It's not like Vinny Mailbag.
Well, he was saying that it seemed like Wink.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was saying like Wink was kind of wish-washy about it though. Like he kind of, he hit him with the misdirection. Like he made him think like they weren't gonna do it, and then I don't know. This whole thing actually kind of roundabout in a way reminds me of like the NBA and how like people quote unquote deal with loyalty in teams, and kind of like you said earlier, like at the end of the day, it's kind of a business. I mean, I get it. You form like bonds and relationships with these people and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, you kind of, it comes down that it is a business, and you have to do what's best for you, whether you're the fighter or the coach or the owner, whatever. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if things like this probably happen more than we think. It would just not maybe go as public as this one has. Because at the end of the day, people got to make
big
money.
ass camps. Like you got
Right.
people coming in from all over the world to train at Jackson Wink. So it's not surprising to me that they run into this type of friction often.
For me, it's just like Donald. You were there when they kicked Rashad Evans out.
Right.
You were there when they kicked Diego Sanchez out. The biggest MMA is built on a lot of lies. We talk about this a lot. We kind of always, whenever something comes up that doesn't make sense with the narrative of MMA, it's like we always point out that this sport is built on lies. And one of the biggest lies is always about camp, like camp loyalty and, that I'll always train at whatever. I'll never go outside here. I'll like TJ Dillashaw and Team Alpha Male. It's just built on a lie. It's like Jackson Wink doesn't owe Donald Cerrone anything, and if Cerrone wants to go train wherever he wants to go train, if he wants to go train in his ranch, then that's totally acceptable too. Like, it shouldn't be a crime to if they want to move on from him, that's cool. If he wants to move on from them, that's cool. That should be acceptable.
Exactly.
It's weird that like MMA, you have to be Jose Aldo has to be at Nova União for the rest of his life. Into perpetuity. Like, it's not how that works. Not how it should work.
And really, that's why I kind of said it reminds me of not just the NBA, but like sports in general. We've seen.
Oh
this
yeah, for sure.
If you guys watch any other sports, perfect example, Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics. This dude goes out, like his sister dies. He's having like probably the worst week a person could have. He goes out, still plays his heart out for the Celtics, and he gets traded. Like,
and then he has assholes on Twitter tweeting at him while they're like videos of them burning his jersey.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, how many 8-year contracts, 8-year deals turn into 3-year deals, turn into 4-year deals before they're moved or they're cut, or it's always going to be about everybody's out for themselves. GMs want to protect their jobs to have the best team possible, because it's not just because they love the city, but because they got to win. You got to win. It doesn't loyalty and good vibes and we love him so much and he'll be a X for Blake Griffin. They did a whole ceremony to get Blake Griffin to re-sign with the Clippers, where they put his jersey up in the rafters or whatever, and then they traded him like the next year.
Right.
So it's business. It's business. It's money. It's wins and losses. And one of the things that did come up in the article back and forth is like Cerrone pointing out the fact that Jackson Wink, their win percentage has gone down. And it's like they probably feel like they're cashing out on Donald Cerrone on the decline. So why not go with a guy who's younger, like Anakel said? Not just that he'll probably pay more, but he's a younger guy who they have more years invested into. They can get Mike Perry for 3 or 4 years, as opposed to Donald Cerrone, who may not be around for 2019 as a fighter, so to speak. And Jackson Wink has said this didn't have anything to do with Cerrone. This didn't have anything to do with Mike Perry in his mind. Although Mike Perry was a part of it, it sounds like to him this was going to be something that was going to happen regardless. So this relationship must have been pretty toxic in his mind. And that ultimately has led to and Jackson Wink in general has been on a decline. So if they want to shake things up, then I guess I get it.
Yeah, gotta get that win percentage back up.
I mean, that's but if you're a camp, that's how you're known. Especially if you're like a super camp that's built its reputation up as it's like Extreme Couture. They started doing things and getting guys out and bringing guys in, and once they stopped becoming this like super camp. So it's just the nature of the game, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, the tides always change. Like, nothing ever stays the same. And I mean, it sucks that certain people, these instances happen. You might get caught in the crossfire, and you never thought it was going to happen to you, but
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be real. If this was another fighter getting kicked out of Jackson Wink, I don't think Cerrone would care. You care because it's you.
Exactly.
That's it. Like, he only cares because it's him.
Like, I see both sides, but for me, at the end of the day, it's like it kind of is what it is. Like, I would say, at least in Cerrone's case, the one positive, like, at least, maybe you're no longer welcome in this gym, but you still got your ranch going for you, so at least you have something to fall back on. Because it would have been worse if you just got kicked out and you had no other,
recourse.
Yeah, you had no other recourse, like you were just kind of just out in the water. It's just kind of.
I mean, Cerrone has to know that, like, he's gonna, in the court of public opinion, he's gonna win this argument because he's so popular and nobody likes Greg Jackson. So it doesn't matter what he says; like, he's gonna win. So.
Yeah. But it is what it is. Cerrone will leave. Someone else will come in this case, Perry. The revolving door will keep spinning. this sport just chews people up and spits them out, and they kind of just fall wherever they fall.
Loyalty is a lie.
I'm kind of surprised it took this long, to be honest.
With him? Or with
Yeah.
you?
Well, it was Cerrone. Because the divisions he's fought at, the amount of time he's been around, it feels like this probably should have came to a head way sooner.
I think, though, he was still a pretty valuable, like, person. If you look at him in just the sense of being a commodity, not to make it sound like that, but like if
I think
he had a nice
fair. I think it's
yeah,
fair
like
to
he had
say
a
it that
really
way.
good run, and even when he started to lose a couple, like he's still someone that people tune in to see. So
That's fair.
Would
yeah,
you have chosen Perry over Cerrone? The both of you, if you're in Jackson Wink's camp.
Well, I don't like Perry, so.
I'm saying
Yeah,
in general. You don't have to create a Mike Perry. Create a Mike Perry in your mind who's not Mike Perry.
Oh, well, yeah, because that's bonus money.
Fred Jacobson.
Like, I get what you mean. Like, just, yeah, I probably would have picked Perry over Cerrone.
There you go.
Why can't we keep both?
Because
Why can't I just go to Perry?
You're bound to hurt a feeling somewhere.
Hey, man.
No,
Why
since
can't
it's
I-
real, I want to hear, like, what would you have done? Who would you have picked?
All right, a Perry who's not Perry. Yeah, in that world, I'm picking Perry.
A Perry.
In this
who's not
world,
Perry.
a Perry who's not Perry.
a Perry who fights exactly like Mike Perry, but keeps his mouth shut.
Yeah,
Someone
I'll
knows
take that
social
Perry.
media. A social media
Right.
blackout Mike Perry. Okay.
You're right. He has no Twitter.
Nice.
He has no nothing. He can only do interviews, and even that we keep to a minimum, unless it's fight week. But yeah, I'd probably pick that Perry. But I don't know if it's real life Perry and this Cerrone, I might just still stick with Cerrone because I don't know if
I don't know if I
I
want.
still I'm still like mixed on Perry, and even putting like personality and all that aside, like just as a fighter, like I think he's entertaining, he's fun. Almost in another way, he's kind of I feel like he's kind of like Cerrone. But
Yeah, let's not act like Donald Cerrone hasn't said or done things that aren't untoward. Like this is not
There-
like it's not personality. I'm not trying to make it a personality kind of back and forth thing.
Yeah.
even if you look at it in terms of like just they're almost like an even swap. Though I would say Cerrone's way more well-rounded than Perry is. But like they're both guys who when they fight it's going to be a fun scrap. Somebody's going to get knocked out or finished, whether they win or lose. I don't know though. Like Perry, I don't know. I feel like people are just gonna figure Perry out unless Perry. I mean, we saw it his last fight. He was a lot more patient, so I think he is like learning that. But like I don't know if Perry will even be able to pull a Cerrone and like find his way in a title shot. Like I don't know if he's that well rounded enough. Like I feel like people are just gonna figure him out.
You see, if it was a younger Donald Cerrone, I'd pick Donald Cerrone, but this Donald Cerrone, he was probably Well, not probably. He's on the downside. It's just we don't know. Like, I'm not sure where Cerrone just eventually completely like breaks, because that's his archetype. Like, there will come a day where Donald Cerrone just can't take a punch.
I think that they might be coming soon. I think his wars are definitely like kind of caught up to him.
You know what I would have done? I would have taken whoever I believe is a leader in my gym, leaders are in my gym, and I would have brought them into a room, and I would have sat them down, and I would have said, we got to make a choice here because this can't work. So who benefits our gym more going forward? Because I'd have to imagine Cerrone's been there for so long that there had to have been some people who stood up for him. There had to have been some loyalty to him. If nobody came out in defense of him, and I'm not sure if anybody has, like, that speaks pretty loudly.
The only person I know is Misha Tate.
Well, Misha Tate. But
And
Diego Sanchez came out and was like, not. Go ahead. I want to see where you go with this. Go ahead.
Wait, what?
You said Misha Tate, and then you were gonna say something, and then you stopped.
I was just gonna say I don't know what type of time she spent at that gym, because I know she was there before, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even know what that means. So
I think they're friendly outside of the gym as well, so it was kind of like his. But I wonder what John Jones thinks, because Jones has been friends with Cerrone, but Mike Perry said that he went to Jackson Wink because he wanted to train with John Jones. So I wonder what Jones thinks about this.
I think Jones has other.
I think John Jones doesn't care.
I don't think John Jones cares.
Okay, we're fine. But
that goes back to our conversation about John Jones doesn't have any real friends.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Well, no, it's not because it's because he's a narcissist.
Probably. But look, that's okay. You can be that. All great people have narcissistic tendencies. Anyways, but this goes back to my point, I suppose, or the article that I wrote a while ago in relation to Maryland, which is, do these camps have leaders? Do these camps have people who watch out for one another? Because going back to what Sensei said, if this is like a situation where you pay your money and you could be on the same mat with Andrei Arlovsky or any major Jackson Wink name, then like, is that a healthy situation? Is that conducive to a healthy environment in the gym? Because
I feel like, I don't know if healthy. I feel like it can work, but there's so many variables. Like, I think it takes a certain kind of individual to be willing to, I'm going to fight this guy that I train with, and somehow we're just going to make this work out. And then after it's done, we'll come back and train together like nothing ever happened. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't bet my money on it. I don't know.
Because, like, if this is a guy who was at Jackson Wink for years, just getting ousted, and you have to wonder if there was like a leadership council within that within that group at Jackson Wink that might have prevented it, might have been asked about it. Like, these are interesting things about MMA gyms that sometimes we just assume fighters they just get to the cage. So I'm always concerned when something like this happens and nobody's saying anything. Because what did they see? Like, what if Cerrone was a bad gym influence? You know?
I'll say it could be
in a Lombard sense. You know?
I was going to say it could be a mix of, like, maybe some people do think that. Like, they're not saying anything because, I don't say they secretly wanted him outed, but maybe, like, they weren't big fans of him, but just didn't want to go public about it, so they're just kind of just going to let this happen. Or it could be maybe the other way around. Like, maybe maybe you're a newer guy. You don't want to say anything because, like, you just got here. Yeah, so maybe it's not your place to...
Low man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Real quick, how many guys who have been there, like, are still at Jackson? Like...
Holm.
Like, there's Holm, there's Sanchez, and there's Jones.
Lando.
But, like... Who?
Lando Venata.
Like, has he been there long?
I don't know. Arlovsky's been there since about 2010, 12.
But he's been in and out.
True. I'm just saying, like, to me, this is an interesting conversation that, on the surface, it's like, I hate to use this term, but, like, the casual fan just looks at it as Cerrone versus Jackson Wink, whereas I think that there's a lot of interesting dynamics about just gym culture in general kind of colliding at once.
Right.
This has been kind of an enlightening conversation. I like that we took something that seems pretty cut and dry and kind of piecemealed it and trying to figure this whole situation out. And again, I don't want to, like, just to go back, I don't want to disparage Cerrone, because it could be any, like, we just went through this with TJ Dillashaw. Like, if TJ Dillashaw was so destructive at Team Alpha Male, why wasn't anything done about it?
If he was really showing them how to do steroids,
Well,
why were they not tipping off you suck?
I wasn't talking about that. More like, oh, TJ Dillashaw goes so hard, he concussed Chris Holdsworth. Holdsworth never fight again. Like, you mean to tell me that TJ Dillashaw just walked into the gym one day and was like, you know what? I'm really going to fuck some people up today. Like, guys who train hard from... Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to walk into the gym today and ruin Chris Holdsworth's life.
Yeah, like, if a guy trains hard, he trains hard all, like, you know that. So how long was it going on before somebody got hurt?
Right.
So, you know, because we want everything in MMA to evolve, but we don't want the camp culture to evolve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, just a sidebar, fun banter before we get to these questiones.
Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't think we spent that much time on that, but that was a good
fun.
Yeah,
like,
that was a nice.
Sensei and AC, I think you guys brought it right there.
Yeah,
and Cerrone, nice go train at your ranch.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure you'll find no shortage of people to spar with, and
Leonard Garcia.
he's still out here being a wild man somewhere. But yeah, so for this episode, for the remainder, we will answer the questions that all of you great people submitted. So once again, thank you for everybody who submitted a question. So shout outs to everybody on Twitter and people on Tumblr who have sent in questions for our special 100th episode. So I guess just a disclaimer for the listeners. So I've had a chance to sit with some of these questions, some of them, because I made a Twitter post, I tagged some people asked questions, all that. These two other gentlemen, I just kind of blindsided them this morning.
Yeah, I literally got on here and they're like, we've got questions. But you told me.
So they're not. What's bad is even as long as I've been sitting with these questions, I'm probably still gonna get stumped by some of these. But yeah. So we will just start from the top and read these questions in the order that they were received. So first question. Most of these are from Twitter. So if they're from Twitter, I'll put your @name so people can follow you if they want, all that good stuff. So first question is coming from @the MMA nerd, so that's _MMA_nerd. Question is, what is your worst quote unquote hot take on MMA?
Ooh. Hot take.
Since you've had time to ruminate on these, why don't you go first?
Me?
This was one of those that I really was trying to think about.
I could be here all day with bad hot takes.
All my takes are solid, so I don't care.
I understand. I guess my favorite one is that maybe the reason MMA promotion fighter relationships aren't as good as you think it isn't because promotions are terrible people, but that fighters are not smart.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, how often do we get on here and we're like, we have a discussion and then something comes up and then I say something along the lines of, do you really think that person can do that? And then the anti-Cole just very honestly goes, no. Like, we were discussing Woodley Covington and I'm trying to bury Colby Covington, and then anti-Cole just very politely goes, I don't think Tyron Woodley is smart enough to have that conversation as well. And like, we're talking about like fighter rights and whatever, and like licensing fees and all this stuff. And at some point, you think they would have seen this coming? Like, the tide would have changed by now? Primarily when they signed like the Fox deal, somebody would have done something.
Or, when their company sold for $4 billion.
You would have assumed. So it's like, and I don't mean that fighters are, I don't want to say fighters are dumb, like they can't wash themselves properly, but like, as it pertains to business, it's very clear why they're fighters and promotions are promotions.
Yeah. Like my hot take, my bad or worst hot take is pretty similar to that. That would be a fighters union because you have people like Jessica Andrade who's like, I have to fight, I have to sell Reebok gear and, cakes, actual cakes, to make it as a top 10 UFC fighter, but I'm okay with there being no fighters union. So
Yeah, I did see that. That's kind of wild.
Okay, well, what about this one then? All right, I already forgot it. Perfect. I had it in my head and I forgot it. I had to listen to that meandering 6-second story. What was it?
I don't know if I have any terrible hot takes. I feel like all my hot takes, I don't even know if they're really hot takes. It's just probably me being extremely biased, which I'm very open with my biases.
Is it really a hot take to say that MMA fans are victims of recency bias a lot?
No, I think that's pretty.
That's fair.
That's not even just MMA.
No,
I think that's like.
But it's worse than MMA.
Yeah, it probably is.
You know what? I'm gonna just go with this. DJ and Anderson Silva have a very similar record in terms of like quality of wins. So fight me.
Is that a hot take? Like, because I broke that.
It is. It is.
Is it a hot take because
it's against,
or is it a hot take because Mighty Mouse is 5'3"? Like if Mighty Mouse was 5'9", would we make that like would people be like, oh, how dare he?
Probably not, but with the bias against flyweight and the fact hot take is just like against, I guess, popular opinion.
I like how the Nicole has gone this whole conversation without his number one hot take.
What is my number one hot take?
Your number one hot take that MMA fans are basically racist?
Oh yeah. Is that a hot take?
I don't know. I don't know.
I believe it's a little bit of a spicy take. It's at least got some paprika on it.
I mean, I don't want to get into.
I mean, not okay. Not.
I mean, I could, believe me. I mean, I don't want to go Avenue Q.
Well, not okay. Not that all MMA fans are racist, but that MMA fans, the casual MMA fan, is probably more predisposed. But then again, I think that's the same with all sports, like especially combat sports.
See, and I was trying to think of this the other day, like which sport has the worst fans. MMA's pretty high up there.
But I think if you took the casual person, right, who doesn't know anything about boxing, and you sat them down, and you gave them a person who's their color versus a person who's not their color, without knowing names, they're gonna probably already know who they want to win. So I think it's worse than MMA though, because MMA comes from the monster tap out. It was very like, it is no mistake, I suppose, that some of the top drawing pay-per-views are like Rashad versus Jones, Rampage versus Rashad, DC versus Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that all plays into it.
I still feel like it's not a hot take.
Oh my god, it is a hot take. You can't just paint everybody with one brush.
I mean, I'm not, but
you can't just slather people with the barbecue brush.
Not everyone.
Again, I don't want to get in this conversation on this podcast.
What other podcasts are you on?
That's a secret.
Should I be concerned?
Yeah.
Great. Perfect.
I'm on the official Antifa podcast.
Man.
But yeah, we have a lot of problems with race relations in this country. It's not like a secret, and I'll leave it at that. And you see it in the sport. You see it in a sport where when the UFC goes to Atlanta, they can't get any black people in the building.
Well, I remember that being, since we're having an honest conversation about race in MMA, and it's not a political conversation, so all of you racing to the X on the little SoundCloud, relax. That was an issue when they went to Detroit, and they went to Detroit and did Rampage against Machida. And Dave Meltzer, who I don't know if he went there, if he was watching it live or got a report, was surprised that there weren't a lot of black fans there. which you would assume would be a bit of a more. They obviously put Rampage in Detroit expecting like a bigger turnout, and it was like he was surprised that it was mostly the usual UFC audience in terms of demographics. So, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not like, here's the thing. You're probably, if you're listening to this, you're probably an educated fan who just wants to root for your favorite fighters. We're not talking about you.
Right.
We're talking about the dudes who
Show up drunk to the fights.
make Brazilian jokes and, you know, and not the funny Brazilian jokes either, like, you know, about like the Big Nog list of excuses. Those are funny. You make the like, these guys come from the jungle type jokes. Those are the guys we're talking about. And unfortunately, those make up a heavy portion of the demographic.
Yeah, like the online MMA community makes up a very, very small sect of,
Like anything.
yeah, exactly, like of who actually is going to these shows and putting money down to see these fighters.
Right. So it's not you Anti-Cool's talking about. He's talking about the dudes in Twitter comments. In the Twitter comments of a fighter post.
Yeah. I'm talking about the dudes
man.
adding Tyron Woodley and calling him a nigger.
Well, you know, I didn't. Well, that's probably happening.
Everybody who was on the Curtis Blades post, I don't know if you guys saw.
I did not.
God, what did he post? He said something about like you guys want fighters to be honest until like they bring up their children. He said something along the effects of like, I think the general point he was trying to make is,
Yeah, I want to see us as real people.
right, you don't see us as real people. Like, we still have families to feed.
Oh, yeah,
we
for
still
sure.
have,
And that's
you
something-
know, children. And we need to, like, basically be able to, like, read and talk and function when we're done fighting. So,
Yeah.
and, yeah, fans were in the comments saying all kinds of keyboard warrior just...
And I think that's like
Yeah.
that beyond race. I think it's like beyond just having like the racist component to anything. And not just racist, but like the nationalistic kind of like, because MMA is very nationalistic in general. But like fighters are only seen by a select group of people as temporary action figures. And you know, they're meant to be bashed into one another and then they're kind of thrown away. So there is always that component of like offense that your action figure has a problem with being an action figure.
Right.
Because you see it in pro wrestling, and again, most of MMA comes from pro wrestling, so it's only natural that like there's that issue, that like divide and that conflict. So it's not a surprise that there are people who get offended when, because that's something else that I guess this is a hot take as well. I don't believe people want fighter unions and people want collective bargaining and people want fighters to have a bigger say until it impacts the product they watch on a weekly basis.
Oh, dude, like, remember when the UFC implemented their accidental fighter insurance thing?
Right.
The program, and like fighters started realizing, oh, I don't have to fight with like a torn ACL.
Yeah, well, you see it now.
And people were there were actually fans on like SureDog and Twitter and the Underground calling for the UFC to get rid of the program, so fighters actually have to fight.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like there are always going to be people who, like, I made this comment when Mighty Mouse refused to fight TJ Dillashaw. People want fighters to have more say, and they want them to do this. They don't really want it, because then it's going to impact. You have to be willing to accept that that's going to impact the product you see. If Tyron Woodley doesn't want to fight Kamaru Usman on short notice, as a fan, you can be disappointed, but that's his right. And that's something that you have to accept, especially if you want fighters like Tyron Woodley to have more say-so in what they do on a weekly basis, what they do with their careers, basically.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to, and I guess the Tyron Woodley thing can go into another discussion we just had 5 minutes ago, but we're not going to do that again. But
in a weird way, I think all fans are Dana White, whether they admit it or not.
Dude, I don't, like, there's a reason why he got to where he was. And that's not to say that Dana's a bad person. He got there because there's a section of this audience that lives through him. And when people get pissed off, I guess that's a hot take. People want Dana White more than they realize. Because they want Dana to say the things that they feel and then get mad at him for saying it. like when there's a bad fight and he rants and raves about it, everybody agrees with him internally. They just don't like the fact that he's saying it. Like when Dana came out against Ngannou Lewis, there was like a little bit of backlash, but I think that everybody internally felt the way he felt. He was just the one saying it.
No, I give him a pass for that one. That was
So it's like everybody wants to be the
That was different.
right. Everybody wants to be the boss, and the fact that he's the boss who acts like the fan, I think, is what made him the star of the show. So
my only hot take that I can think of is I don't know. Mighty Mouse's first loss in the UFC should have been to Miguel Torres.
get out of here.
I'll
That's
die on that hill.
what a poo take.
I'll die on that
I
hill.
like how you have an actual hot take that's like not smoldering, whereas the Anti-Cold just was like launching grenades.
I'm not a hot take kind of guy. I don't
He
think.
and I were just like we building, and then you're just like, Mighty Mouse lost to Miguel Torres. It's like it's such a nice. Like if we can we be realistic for a second? You're like the building's coming down. There's like fire everywhere, and you're waiting on your order. You're like, I'm not leaving until I get this food. And then
Oh no, I'm not a hot take kind of guy.
in that same vein, I think that I will go to my grave believing Carlos Condit beat Robbie Lawler.
I think that's popular opinion.
And I
It
will
should
go
be.
to my grave, and this is one we argued about before. Gus beat DC. I will forever believe it.
I want to be with you on that one, but I don't want to talk about that. That fight makes me angry.
Well, I mean, we've established that NFL is racist against Swedes, so he's not gonna
Hey,
gonna agree with me.
I love Tamor, the Tamor brothers. I'm just saying.
Well,
Yeah,
that
but you
would
don't
be our
love
first
Betty.
question.
I mean, I didn't get to know Poppy Betty.
None
That's
of us
my
did.
excuse.
You don't have to know someone to fall in love with them.
You're one of those love at first sight type of
Love
guys.
at first sight, and what a
Oh,
sight it
man.
was.
It's like a Disney movie.
Shout out to the MMA nerd.
That was a
for
great question.
That was.
That was.
It was a great question. And I killed the podcast. We're never going to do another episode.
Oh, whoa. You know what? TJ Dillashaw should have beat Dominic Cruz. There you go.
Oh my God,
There's
that's
my hot take.
tough.
There's my hot take.
I'm just glad we didn't get the cage versus ring hot take. Tired of that.
Yeah, I do not like the ring.
I don't either, but there are people who swear by it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
I mean-
diversity. Good.
So is that my hot take? I like the ring.
Ugh.
Is that my hot take?
Ugh.
I thoroughly enjoy the ring.
Oh my God.
You know what's the worst
I feel like-
argument I've seen for the ring versus cage debate?
No, mine is terrible. I know. Mine is purely based on aesthetics.
Aesthetics.
And that's
Oh.
fine. That's fine. You know what? That's fine. You know what? That's fine. Because the worst argument I've ever seen for ring versus cage is they want fights to feel realer. And where have you ever seen the cage outside of like an MMA event? And the dumbass didn't even think of like it's just a fucking fence. Like, where are you where you have a fucking
Oh
like
man.
a ring but you don't have a fence?
I might get kicked out of this one, but I'm gonna say it. Battle of the Nations is actually bad.
Whack.
What?
I'm serious.
Oh,
Whack.
God.
No, I'm
Cut his mic
serious.
off.
I'm serious. It's actually bad. It promotes gang culture.
I mean, what doesn't these days?
Right.
Okay, there are certain things that promote gang culture that don't involve fucking swords.
Hey, man.
Hey, if all
And
games
shield.
do swords.
And shields?
Well, I mean, shields are for protection. They're defense.
Are you sure?
Right.
Because I saw one guy get the shit kicked out of him with a shield. I'm not believing that.
Because he didn't use his shield properly.
Exactly.
he should have been more prepared.
I'm throwing up in my mouth. It's just too much for me. It's too much to take. It looks like For Honor footage in real life.
Let the history nerds have
That-
their thing, damn it.
Well, no, but that's the problem as well. It's like one team has probably been training their whole lives in the gulags and in the fields of Russia for this Battle of the Nations, where the other dude is just like a LARPer, substitute chemistry teacher.
Well, he should have known what he was getting into.
Who's just like, I want to give this a shot. I want to feel my ancestral blood, and then he gets in there and he's beaten with a shield to death. I don't.
He needs to know that this isn't a game. It's called Battle of the Nations for a reason. It
feels like somebody watched too many episodes of Deadliest Warrior. And
all right, hold on. So I'll ask this last question and then we'll go to the next one. So if there was, it's a Saturday night, you're forced to watch one of two things. You either have to watch Battle of the Nations or the Bare Knuckle FC.
Oh, how are you gonna do this to me? Do I have a rope nearby? Do I have any?
Oh no, you gotta pick. You gotta watch one of these.
Who's on Bare Knuckle FC? Is it anybody that I'm gonna be morally outraged to see?
Ooh.
I don't know who do they have on their cards.
But I'm saying it's gonna be like is Ken Shamrock fighting in the Bare Knuckle FC? Like I would be uncomfortable with that. Chris Liebman.
Beck Rawlings is headlining because I feel like she's on every Bare Knuckle card, so she's fighting somebody in the headliner. And co-main event is who's the old guy who's still out here slinging that shouldn't be. Chuck Tito 4. Chuck Tito 4 is it gonna be a bare knuckle fight? That's co-main event.
What about watching Sean Merriman get in there into the bare knuckle fighting?
There we go. Yeah.
I guess I gotta choose because I have to be a fair guest on the podcast. I would probably choose. Bare Knuckle FC. Because those are athletes in general.
So you're down for Phil Baroni versus Chris Lieben?
I mean, I'm down for that fight regardless. Like, you could give me Phil Baroni, Chris Lieben chess match, and I'm in.
It could be like chess boxing.
No, just chess in general. Like you think, like I'm fine for that. Give me Phil Baroni, Chris Lieben like triathlon, but it's nothing athletic. It's just like go-kart and muscle poses.
Oh man! All right, we spent like 20 minutes on that one question.
It was a good question, and it allowed the anti-cool his feelings out, and he's very bottled up sometimes. So that's good.
I really am.
This next question, which is not MMA related. This comes from @FightStanceJC. Shout outs to him and the Fight Stance podcast. His question is, what's the most valuable life lesson you would pass on to your children? So I'm going to go out and say, I would assume, unless you guys have been living a secret life I don't know about, that none of us have children.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Same.
I was talking about anti-cool. What are you laughing about? I don't have any younglings, young lords.
I have a dog. Does that count?
Yeah, I know. We hear her every podcast.
Yeah. She is a valued member of this podcast.
What is the most valuable life lesson you would pass on to her?
To my dog?
Yeah.
Don't have dogs.
Don't have dogs. It'd probably be something along the lines of, if you run away while you're not on the leash, we can't find you and you can't come home. Because her dumb self, like, she's gotten out like 3 times and she's ran down the street all the way to the park to like
go out.
No, she went to the safe zone.
No, like, she ran all the way there, and thank God when the neighbor saw her, because he chased her all the way there, and I guess she thought they were playing tag, so she ran back down the street. So
you can train your dog to play tag, but you can't train your dog to stay in the house.
But tag is natural, apparently, because that's all she wants to do.
Oh, that's good. At least she's active.
She's an athlete.
Yeah, she needs to be in Battle of the Nation. What if
She's a golden retriever.
I have a golden retriever. They're dumb.
They are. They're clown dogs.
They are the PFL of the dog, the dog world, of the canine species.
Oh man. Valuable.
Sensei, you want to go with a life lesson?
What have I learned in my 29 years kind of fumbling around here?
I guess mine would be, don't be a dick. That's what I got.
I don't know. A little mini me. What would I tell my little mini me? I don't know. I feel like I tell them a lot and not a lot at the same time. I want them to figure things out.
This is a deep question I was not expecting on a podcast about MMA.
I was not either. You know what? I feel like you don't have to go too deep. I think you keep it really simple.
No,
I feel like
I like it. I like that it's a deeper question.
Yeah, I feel like most of the best life lessons are actually like the most simple. You just have to drill them over and over again so that you don't, fall off the wagon. So I would tell my little mini me something all of your parents told you, and it sounds cliche and dumb, but it's true. Like you just can't run from your problems. The faster you try to solve them, the quicker you can just kind of move on. So don't be like your old man. don't put things off until they just blow up in your face, and then you're forced to deal with it. Like the minute you notice a problem and something's a little off and out of whack, you gotta nip it in the bud as soon as you can. Don't be like me. Don't wait till things just explode, and then you're in this mass scramble just trying to patch your life. You're trying to patch everything back together after it exploded. Like contain the explosion before it goes off. Life will be a lot kinder to you if you can, nip things in the bud early. It'll make life so much smoother.
This thing went to a dark place, man. Don't let your life be in shambles. Solve your problems. I guess it's me now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's simple. And it's. I wish it was something that I learned a lot when I was a lot younger. Listen to people. People will ultimately tell you what they want from you if you listen. People will ultimately tell you what they want fixed in their lives if you listen. The ability to listen and understand what people are telling you when they're talking to you is such an important tool to get along with everybody in life, to get further in life. Always listen to people. Always try to understand them. Always try to hear them out. Even if they're mad at you, they may be telling you something about yourself you might actually really need to hear. So I would say if I had to talk to a younger me, listen and then think and then speak. Because listening is a key part of life that I don't think a lot of people do these days. And you can get so much farther if you just listen to people when they're talking to you. Or not just talking to you, but in general. Think of all the world problems that could be solved if people listen to one another. And then stopped and thought, like, okay, well, what does that really mean? What are they trying to tell me? And then you could probably solve most of your problems. You wouldn't have to run from them. You would.
There we go.
There you go.
Double whammy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find a way to tie an Anti-Cole's point, but his point was what?
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yeah, there you go. Don't be a dick. Listen to people, and then you don't have to run from your problems. And then when they put the leash on you, you can walk to if you listen to the stop, they'll just put the leash on you and take you out. So it works out.
Exactly.
There you go.
There we go.
Trifecta. Everything's connected.
Fun question.
somehow.
Fun question about life.
There you go. Appreciate that. Fight Stance JC. Appreciate the question.
Salute.
Oh boy, this next one. Jesus Christ. Yes, one of those. At Kitty36238536.
Is this a bot?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I'm reading it
Are they
anyway.
about to sell me some like insurance or?
No, it's real. Go ahead.
This question is, how can we get Brendan Schaub to release his dick pic quicker? He said he'd do it if Mailbag didn't go all 12 rounds.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. Start from the very beginning. Why would you want to see that? Why would you want to see that?
That was the question.
Apparently, Kitty's a big fan. I don't know.
There's somebody out there for everybody, Joey.
I understand, but perhaps we need to reconsider. Because if it's going to be out there for you, it's going to wind up being out there for me. And it's going to wind up coming up on this thing. And so I'm going to put these headphones on. I'm gonna plug in. I'm gonna be like, oh man, 4 hours. Got to do this podcast. Got to cover all the important topics. Got to bring something new to the table. And then as the headphones touch my ears, I'm gonna hear. So Brendan Schaub's dick pics were out today. And then, like, you're never gonna accomplish anything. Do we want to see it for scale?
I guess.
I guess she does.
I mean, thanks
I'm gonna
to fucking WBC's Twitter, I now know how big Canelo's dick is.
Yeah. Notice how Sensei and I have no idea.
Because you don't follow the WBC on Twitter.
I do not. I do not.
What is that? World Boxing Cox? Is that what? Because I don't think I don't want to be a part of that.
Oh
That's
man.
the worst part of it. Was like a weigh-in picture that they got
God.
from the side.
Well, I hope he's at least, represented well.
I don't know. I don't know what
So
that
what necessarily was the question itself, because we'd have to, wouldn't we have to bring like a court order?
I mean, we could sue him.
Yeah, that's like, we would have to be like, Your Honor, he promised the PP pictures, and we don't have.
He didn't deliver.
He didn't deliver on them.
You could catfish him.
I would say you could catfish
But
him.
conversely, couldn't he in return send you pics of someone else's PP?
I mean, hey, you're not. I mean, she doesn't know though. Like, if I feel like it's fair game. Like, if you catfish him and he catfished you, it's not like you know anyway. So
yeah, it's just like two swords crossing in the night.
You guys can both live in a fantasy world where
Medical, you okay?
All I can say is Twitter's a powerful tool. I feel like people put themselves out there on Twitter for anything. So I don't know. Just
I feel like Brendan Schaub would like fuck up. Like if he was trying to catfish somebody, he would just like send a picture and just be black.
Well, isn't his nickname Big Black? So like done a match?
He's like
kind of like matches.
It's like that Key and Peele skit where like he's the black kid but he has a white dick.
Maybe he had a grease fire. You never know.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you, just hop in his DMs. Just go in his DMs.
Or ask. Have you asked politely?
Yeah.
That is also true.
You never know until you ask.
Yeah.
Maybe he just forgot.
Gotta put yourself out there.
Don't be a dick, and you'll see the dick.
Exactly.
There you go. You know what? I think we're gonna end the question on that. I think that.
We're gonna have to have.
I don't know if we really
Brendan Schaub on the show.
Was that a real person who asked that question, by the way, or was that like a Stoges in a?
I think it was.
No.
I think
Stoges with an alt.
That was a real person.
I actually appreciate that question. Thank you very much. It's disappointing that we could do a UFC card and get 3 questions, but we take questions and we get one about Brandon Schaub's Big Black, and I'm not happy with it.
These are the burning questions inside.
I'm frustrated. I'm gonna hold out for more money the next time you guys ask me to get on here.
That's fine. We got a nice mix of life questions.
No, that was
whatever that. I don't know what category that question falls on.
That was a real 1-2 punch right there.
All right, this next one is a little more.
Does that question fall under?
Yeah, I don't know.
Powerful.
This next one's a little more, on the path. At Craig Allen FNP, his question is: when will the UFC's marketing team get into full swing for UFC 229?
I mean, it started when McGregor threw that trolley into the bus.
You gotta get here's the problem. You gotta get the people to actually want to do the promotion. It doesn't sound like Conor apparently wants to do the promotion. So,
I mean, let's be real. Like, why would he want to at this point?
Because he's gonna make more money.
I mean, he's gonna make money regardless. They have a video of him throwing a trolley into a bus full of fighters.
So did you guys see like the initial trailer that was released when that fight got announced?
You and I argued about it. You and I had a serious back and forth about it.
I feel like they missed like a golden opportunity.
I thought it was
because I thought it was terrible.
I know you told me that. You expressed.
And it's not terrible from the sense of Like I knew they were gonna use the dolly to hype this fight. I don't know. I just feel like it was. I feel like they. All right. I mean, obviously you can't tell the future, but I feel like we all at least hoped that this would be a fight we were gonna see. Like I feel like somebody should have been working on this trailer for a long time. Like this should have been like this.
Did. I still think they did. I think that this took time.
To me, this looked like, oh, this fight got announced. I found out at 5:30. By 7, I need a trailer.
You want to know what I think? You want to know what I think hurt it? It didn't have like a big song to it. It just had like noise, like scattered noise.
Yeah, and like and I can't think of any like off the top of my head now, but I know there were other trailers I've watched where like I was like invested, like, oh, this trailer is making this fight look way more awesome than it's probably gonna be, but this trailer just I'm invested now. When I saw this, I was like,
yeah, like I got you. You know what trailers kind of like that? Not to cut it off, but they've done a good job with the Montano Shevchenko stuff. I don't know if you had to have seen it during the card for Gaethje against Vic. They showed it every 5 minutes, but like they told a really good story there. So I get what you're saying, like about doing more with it. It just felt like a collection of clips and sounds.
Yeah.
But like again, you have to convince Conor to want to say anything.
Like the I'm thinking back to like when they did the Aldo McGregor stuff. Like they obviously had like access to Conor.
Yeah.
Like all they have are clips. My one critique will be they should have done like the Stone Cold Steve Austin glass break when the trolley at the window.
I will say though, like, because this fight doesn't happen until like October.
Yep.
They've got time.
So yeah, they've still got time to,
I mean,
we'll see another.
They're still trying to sell next week's card. Like it was all like the Invicta card that was like 8 or 9 fights was like 4 hours long because every other like break they had they were advertising UFC 228.
Yeah. So I think we've still got time. I think it'll be a tall tale if we get around to like the first week of October or like late of this month and we're not seeing more than maybe
if Conor's not fucking talking by if he's not talking by the Moscow card, I think we can start getting concerned.
Right.
Now, can I use a question? Can I take this great question, because it was a great question, and add my own question? Can I layer questions here for you two?
I mean, we've been doing it so far.
Inaccurate. Well, how far do you want me to? How far do you expect us to take Brendan Schaub's hog? Realistically, I dare you to say what you were about to say because I know what you want to say. Dare you? I dare you. We're not continuing until I hear that.
I was gonna ask how far do you want to ride it?
I was gonna say I don't want you to continue. Just stop.
I don't want. Apparently, the trajectory, if you ride it, like you go from him to Travis Brown. So I don't want that problem in my life. Anyways, get back on track. Sensei, this is your pod. You got to pull us. Okay, look. Do you think that they added Tony Ferguson? Stop laughing. Do you think that they added Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, because they are concerned that there's not going to be enough promotion to sell the fight to the level they want it to go?
I was thinking more so, well, that could be part of it. I was thinking they were afraid that somehow this fight might not happen and one of those two would be a replacement.
Yeah.
And you could just kind of like flip the matchups around somehow.
Like they chose like the one guy who they're not sure is going to show up for work.
With the other two guys.
Wait, no, like who like just decides like at the last minute like doesn't want to do press or whatever and can get pulled from the fight that way. And then they chose 3 guys who have spent most of their careers dealing with like long-term injuries. So this is going to be fun.
Stay on the treadmill, Dustin.
Exactly.
But I mean, like,
yeah.
Here's like my. We know that undercards don't matter because we've seen that an undercard with nothing on it can do can do good numbers. So I wonder if they're getting a little concerned that Conor's not talking. Conor's not saying anything. Khabib can only do so much. Khabib can only do so much without, I guess, Ali tweeting for him. So you're kind of stuck. You might not have a card that has a lot of promotion from your two top fighters. So they added a little depth on the undercard. Because this undercard could be nothing, but they've got Michelle Waterson on it. They've got Ferguson against Pettis. They've got Volkov Lewis. Like, they've added some good fights to it. So I wonder if they're getting a little nervous.
See, my thought process was that they added Pettis versus Ferguson, so the winner of that, presumably Ferguson, would like have an audience, and you could just get on the microphone and call out the winner in the main event.
Right.
You would hope that, but they don't like Tony Ferguson. So
I mean, but they need something. Justin Gaethje isn't putting asses in the seats, apparently. So.
Or eyeballs in.
Or eyeballs on the screen.
So weird.
Didn't he do like what was the numbers for that card?
596.
Right.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense.
That's crazy. What do fans want? Like, what do you guys?
They want The best part was like the excuse, like the KSI Logan Paul fight took attention from it, but MMA was on.
No.
Yeah.
None of those dudes are going to. None of the people who paid for the Logan Paul KSI fight.
Yeah, or watching
the UFC.
Yeah.
Not only that, but
those audiences. I don't think those audiences overlap that much.
Yeah, not only that, but we've seen boxing and MMA on the same night, and they both do well. Like, Triple G against Canelo was on the same night as Rockhold against the true GOAT David Branch, and they both did good numbers. Like, they can share an audience. There's no one or the other. So people just don't like Justin Gaethje for some reason. Don't know why.
Fans are weird.
Because they're weird.
He may be too white.
Ooh.
Because I think that there are people out there who genuinely think he's like some kind of redneck.
Really?
Yeah, there are people who think he's like some. You know what it is? I think it was Michael Johnson who was like, he's like inbred, and I think that the audience they've just never shaken that. But it's just like, if you were drawing up a fighter who could pop a TV number, it would be Justin Gaethje, and he can't move anybody.
Yeah, I'm like, if he can't move the needle, I don't really know.
Maybe it's just too freaking weird. Like, you hear about him wanting to fucking die in the cage, and it just makes you feel bad. And you don't want to be part of that. I don't know.
I guess I just don't understand, like, especially in this, and that's another thing. This division 155 is so loaded, but like the numbers they do outside of Conor is so weird. Is Kevin Lee a big draw? Because he does pretty good TV numbers, but he doesn't, like, relatively speaking.
I don't know if he's moving a pay-per-view needle though. I don't know if
like Tony Ferguson, I can understand people not getting. He's strange.
He's a very weird man.
But he's a great man.
He's a great man, but a weird man.
All great men are eccentric.
He's a real life cartoon character.
He is the epitome of the anti-cools. Could you see this guy doing another job?
No.
Right.
Could you imagine walking into like a restaurant and Tony Ferguson's your waiter? Like,
I'm not taking the food.
Nah, it's good, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like when he retires, we need eyes on him. Somebody needs to make sure he's taken care of because this guy's gonna. Him not fighting just doesn't make sense. Like I don't know. But then I don't even know if he could open his own gym. I feel like his training would just scare everybody away. Like,
yeah, dude. I think I'd do the gym too. Kick a pole was part of my.
Right.
It's like those Ann Wolf videos. Have you ever seen like her training at her gym, like with her kids, where she's like throwing medicine balls at them while they're trying to do push-ups?
Yeah,
it would be like that.
I don't know, man.
I don't know if you guys saw. It was like a month or two ago. And I don't know why I just randomly thought of this. So, like, there's this city in Japan that had a ninja shortage, and I feel like Tony Ferguson would be perfect. Because they pay, like, $80,000 a year. And, like, you get to perform at, apparently, like, all these, like, prestigious ceremonies.
No, because Tony Ferguson would think that shit is real.
He really hit somebody with a shirt.
It's all fun and games until you give him a katana.
Oh man, that is true. Yeah, that might not be a good
I don't
idea.
know.
I don't want to see Tony behind bars.
Yeah,
I tried to throw it out there.
give it a couple weeks. The UFC 229 marketing will kick in.
We
Somehow.
better hope. We better hope.
Next question. I think you
I
guys will
wonder
have
if
fun
there's,
with.
just to wrap that question up, I wonder if they're concerned just about the political and I guess geographical comments that would come up. You know what I mean? Like, because Connor's already talking about a true Chechen, a true Dagestani, like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess, like, would you be worried about that?
Before going to Moscow.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point too. Just in general, like, because this is Connor's the guy who, when he hypes a fight, he goes full bore.
Yeah.
So I would be a
that.
little concerned.
Might be getting too real.
Maybe
Yeah.
him being
Maybe
quiet
they'll just
is
be
just
quiet.
good.
Maybe they'll be quiet until like they'll just unleash the storm like that week of, or like a couple.
Oh,
weeks
I'm
out.
sure he's gonna show up at some point. But if I'm the UFC's promotional team, the question is absolutely valid. Like, what do I have to work with?
You have that clip of what Khabib saying Raja 300 million, Ireland 30 million,
And you've got the bus.
and you got the bus.
And the true star of the bus is poor Artem Lobov, who's standing there looking like he just caused the world's biggest fucking. When you tell on your brother and your mom beats the shit out of him kind of face.
It's like, damn, I'm not getting paid today.
Man. So this next question is like, it's not worded in. I think I know what they were trying to ask, but they didn't like word it as a question. But I'll just read it anyway. So at 357 MMA, his, I guess, quote unquote question, he just says, how about conspiracies in MMA? Brock's PEDs when fighting Hunt, for example, or John Jones, quote unquote, tainted supplements. So yeah, I think I get like what he's trying to ask.
I don't think they're conspiracies. I think they're pretty cut and dry. I think that, the Vitor Belfort one was one part the UFC got caught in a bad spot, and one part the Fertitas were very close with Vitor Belfort. They trained together, like they would work out together. So I think that wasn't a conspiracy so much as it was just kind of like a... and I think they were also mad at John Jones. So I think they kind of knew he was a little over, or not a little over, way over, and just kind of let it go. I think the Brock one, they got caught off guard because he was getting tested and they just didn't get the results back in time. What will be another conspiracy? MMA conspiracy. The Frank Shamrock one with, not Frank Shamrock, the Ken Shamrock, Rich Franklin thing that everybody thinks was a dive.
Like, yeah, I guess it would just be like a bunch of like dives and stuff.
They had to have dives in the past.
No, one that I think is real. So we had the dude Bang Kuntz, whatever.
No. You did that on purpose.
No, I don't remember how to say his name. I'm dead serious.
Leo Kuntz.
It's Leo Kuntz. Okay.
You just happened to forget that it wasn't Kuntz. All right.
So I haven't seen it.
Now we've got
his name since that fight. So
now we've got a new conspiracy.
So I don't believe like I get this a lot when I post like night of, and like, I got it when the DJ fight happened. The DJ Cejudo fight. The UFC hates Mighty Mouse. That's why Cejudo won. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
All that bullshit.
I got you.
So the UFC does not pick winners. Like they don't go to the judges and they're like, oh, we want so and so to win. This isn't like boxing where one promotion is flying out the judges and like putting them up, and like, that could lead to some biases on their part.
Right.
Because both fighters are promoted by the UFC, and sometimes they want one guy to win, but they're not going to go out and say, we want Cejudo to win.
Yeah, you don't risk $1 billion enterprise on
one
dude.
fight.
Yeah,
No matter who it is.
right.
Especially in today's day and age where it's just about quantity over quality.
Here you go.
So, but I do believe there are gyms out there who will pay the other guy to take a dive. Like I fully believe that, like, for like a lot of these like prelim cards where they got guys coming up. Like they'll throw the other guy like a $10,000 to just stop fighting in the third round or something like that.
You mean on UFC events or in general?
In general, but on UFC events too. Like
I don't think anybody on a prelim card on a UFC event has $10,000 to throw around.
If you're at a big gym, I mean, like
I still don't believe that. Not this sport. There's not a $10,000 is way too generous. I will say that I think it probably happens on regional cards. You know what? I kind of, since you mentioned that, I believe that I wonder if managers get together and it's like, hey, I've got this prospect coming up. Do you have a guy who can lose to him? And then I'll return the favor to you when you have a prospect coming up.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Which, I mean, is that unethical? Is it illegal? I don't know.
I don't think it's unethical.
I don't think it's illegal.
Well, maybe unethical, but not illegal, probably.
Yeah, probably unethical, not illegal.
I'm trying to think of other conspiracy theories.
What about, I don't know if that counts as conspiracy. The whole DSP greasing. Would that count as a conspiracy? Because that was a thing once upon a time. Like GSP was allegedly a greaser.
Well, he did it, didn't he? Didn't he like wipe him? Like, didn't they see him do it? Or
I don't know if that was ever like confirmed.
I remember that being a big deal, and then
but it was definitely a big deal for a while.
I remember that being a big deal, and then Anderson Silva, like before a fight, literally wiped grease all over his body.
Yeah.
So, and then people were just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess this is a problem. Nicole, can you cross sports with me for a minute?
What's up?
Edwin Valero. Are you familiar with the Edwin Valero story?
No. What's this?
You never heard of Edwin Valero?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh man, get to break some fight talk. So Edwin Valero was a big time like Latin American, like super featherweight coming up, and he had killer knockout power, and he was fighting primarily outside of the U.S. because of all kinds of issues, legal, health related, and he got to a certain level, and then he started making like his debut on like Showtime and on pay-per-view, and I think he beat Robert Guerrero. I think he beat Kid Diamond. I'm gonna look him up again. I want to make sure I'm accurate about Edwin Valero's fight history. And then he died. Oh, not he died. He got arrested, allegedly for I don't know if it was murdering his wife or beating his wife. And so, yeah, he was arrested on suspicion of killing his wife. And then they found him in jail, hung up, like he hung himself. And for a long time, that was like that was just like, he couldn't deal with it, could deal with the guilt. And recently, there's been some skepticism that he was murdered because he owed money to some gang or whatever in Venezuela. So that him and his wife were murdered. So I was going to ask you if you had any thoughts about that, but you've never even heard of Edwin Valero, which is really crazy. He beat Antonio DeMarco.
I've never heard that story.
Serious? Look, now you have homework.
That sounds like a crazy 30 for 30.
Wait.
Because he
wait. Is this the Argentinian dude?
Venezuelan.
Okay.
I think it was Venezuela.
Wait.
Yeah, Venezuela.
Parts of this sound familiar to another story I remember hearing.
So how did they like tie him into him owing money? Like how did that part?
His whole like people who know him swear he would never he was never that kind of guy or whatever, which is that's natural for people who are close to somebody who is accused of something to believe that. But that's the genuine there are genuine people who think he was murdered. So I wanted Ann-Cool's opinion on it, but he doesn't know who Edwin Valero is.
Yeah, sorry.
You just
because this sounds familiar. Like
dude, it was like 6 years ago.
Even not knowing that sounds plausible though. Like I feel like they're I don't know how to put this. Some it's like a dark MMA underworld. You know, people tied into things they probably shouldn't be mixed around in.
I mean,
I think
one of the biggest fight promotions of all time was linked in with the Japanese mafia.
it's a good point.
Yeah, so I could definitely see that like being a thing, and then it just unfortunately like it'll be one of those things where like his family will probably never get true closure. Like the truth will probably just always just kind of be tucked away. Like the people who really know will just kind of look the other way.
Yeah.
What's another MMA conspiracy that we can talk about? Can we talk about the Jones thing? What?
So I wanted to ask about his because I kind of my memory's a little hazy. So the Jones DC test. So like, didn't he pass the pre one and then fail the post one? Was that
The
what happened?
cocaine one or the steroid test one?
No, the steroid.
Dude, I
one.
don't remember. I just remember that like his allegation is that after weigh-ins, he took a drink and he thinks somebody put whatever the chemical was, whatever the PED related item was in his drink.
Cause that, I guess I'll throw myself out there just for the sake of it. That could be, and I might be remembering this wrong, so don't fully quote me on this. But like, if that was what happened, that he passed the pre one and failed the post one, I don't know. Maybe hot take. Maybe he did get set up. Cause to me, that just doesn't make sense.
I think, God, what was it? I can't remember if there was like a freaky time, like the time distance between the test he failed and the test he passed, or not the test he failed, but the positive and the negative is like so close that it's like he would have to have done it immediately.
Yeah,
But who
like
would set him
that
up?
to me that I don't know. But like it doesn't. And all right, I don't take steroids, so I don't like know how this all works. But I'd imagine it's if you take a steroid, I'm not gonna say like the next day you just turn into the Hulk. I would imagine like I don't think it's like an immediate, or maybe it is. I don't know. But the way I remember it is like like you said, like the time between the first test that he passed and then the one that he failed is so close that it doesn't make sense that John is probably a lot of things. I don't think John is dumb enough to like take a steroid like the day before. I don't know, like it just I feel like there was something around that whole like controversy. There's something that we don't know about that happened. Like I would not be surprised years later we find out somebody on the low set John Jones up for that one. And that's not to excuse all of the other like wildness he's done.
I don't think that plays into it because like maybe you'd give him the benefit of the doubt, but then he has so many other weird things around him. By the way, Anacol, Ringside Report has kind of an article on it on Edwin Valero.
I got it up.
Okay.
So
it's just weird. What other conspiracies are there out there?
Like, just going back to the Jones one, wasn't the only test they did the first test? Wasn't it just like a pee test and then they took a blood test?
I can't remember.
Yes,
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
And he was
like,
in front of
the
I wish I
details
still had your California State Athletic Commission John Jones like pod in front of me because that was probably the best things you guys had done. So
Yeah. Like I know, because I know the drug he tested for doesn't show up in your like in a piss test. It only shows up in a blood test. But there was like some like I can't remember who it was. I think it was the dude from Buddy Elbow who was like what's it called? Turinable, something like that. It's like a weird. It's like a weird drug. Like they don't. I can't remember specifics. It's just something along the lines of like they don't understand like how it works in terms of like drug testing, which is really weird. Like it was all this bizarre shit, this science stuff that I pay zero attention to.
USADA is a conspiracy.
Oh man, here's your hot take. You waited like 4 hours to throw your hot take.
Dude.
USADA, man.
USADA is not like my whole argument for USADA was that it's there to stop the. It's there for the UFC to be less responsible when somebody eventually dies in the octagon.
I think that I mean, let's be realistic. USADA's there because they wanted to sell.
That too.
So, and it's, you know what, to their credit though, they could have gotten rid of it, but they haven't. And I also think that's because they're gonna sell again. So,
$7 billion.
oh, there's my hot take. I guess the UFC will be sold again by 2020.
Who would be dumb enough?
Dude, we can't say that. We can't say who would be dumb enough in this sport. We know who's dumb enough. Everybody who gets involved in this sport is dumb enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say if PFL can still get funding from
Kevin Hart,
God knows who they're getting. Right, somebody's buying the UFC.
Kevin Hart, and
I just want Kevin Hart to be in like Ray Cooper's corner.
What if Kevin Hart fights?
Ooh,
who could Kevin Hart fight?
Like what weight is he coming in at?
What's below flyweight?
Dude, you can't say that because his calves are huge.
He's actually pretty fit. He actually is pretty fit.
Stoges against
probably
Kevin
be like
Hart
a bantamweight.
PFL. Give me one reason why not.
It's an easy $1 million payday for Stoges.
For sure.
There we go.
Stoges is not negotiating himself $1 million payday. Get out of here.
I'm talking about. I'm talking tournament.
Oh, I see. Could Stoges make it through? Could he make it through the brackets though? I don't know now.
I trust Stoges. I think he can do it.
We'll get you the top flight training that you need. Somehow.
He can go to Alpha Male.
There you go.
Well, we need.
If you're not, if your hatred for TJ can't fuel you to get to the finals, I don't know.
Oh man. I mean, Kevin Hart with Bang Ludwig against Alpha Male with Stoges.
There we go. We got storylines. There we go.
To run this promotion.
Actually, that the whole UFC being sold somewhat, kind of, sort of ties into this next question in a very roundabout way. Next
that was
question
a good question,
comes
by the
from,
way. Thank you to whoever said that.
Conspiracy theories are always fun.
Except what they're about you.
At Fight Stance Flex, who also shout out to him from the Fight Stance podcast. His question is, when Dana White steps down from his presidency, what state of success will the UFC be in? And then a follow-up to that is, will he step down simply to retire, or will he be compelled by failure?
That one. I think Dana's gonna probably do this until he's like Bob Arum.
Okay.
This is hard for me.
I guess I don't know if that would have been a conspiracy theory, would it? I believe in a perfect world he would have retired and Chael Sonnen would have taken over in like 2015, 2016. Around the sale time. I think he would have probably stepped down. But I think he's going to do this until he... Because what necessarily does he do?
Try to start a boxing promotion?
There you go. But I'm saying, like, realistically,
he walks and talks.
He shows up, like, once a month. He talks in front of the cameras, like, once a month. This isn't like 2010, 11, 12, where he was in front of every event talking shit about everything. He shows up once a month or so, gives a few press conference quotes, and then splits out. Like, I don't think that I don't want to say he's invested. I just think that he's not required to do as much. Because these shows make money regardless of what he's saying now. So it's like, he got the TV deal. He originally told Ariel Helwani he would have considered retirement when they were talking about the next Fox deal or the next TV deal. He was like, maybe then it'll be time. Well, we got the next deal, and he's not going anywhere. So I think he'll do this until...
I think he'll stay around as long as he can keep getting some paydays. Kind of like how you said it'll be sold again in like 2020. If he can eke out a few more of those kind of deals, I think we'll see him around for a while. I don't think he'll leave by failure.
I mean, he hasn't failed.
I think he will only be. That's the only thing that can compel him to stop.
I think it would take a serious. It would take a serious something.
A scandal or something.
Or a health issue.
That too.
a scandal, or we get to a place where there are no more Connors, nobody's moving the needle anymore, and he just slowly backs away.
He's just bored.
I want to focus on the first half of this question though. What state will the UFC be in when he decides to leave?
Ooh, here's a hot.
I think that's an interesting.
Here's a hot take, a worse one. Do you want me to explain that?
Nah.
Yes,
No, you don't want me to.
No. Go ahead.
No, it sounds like someone else is just like, I don't want to hear it. So I don't want to say nothing. We just talked about.
Well, no. Oh no, I thought you said a worse take from
no,
before.
A worse state. It'll be worse.
Okay.
Well, it'll be worse relative to fan interest. I don't know if it'll be better or worse in terms of how. Because I'd have to imagine that at some point or another, maybe having somebody a little bit more professional and maybe a little bit more hands-on in terms of like show to show probably would be better for fighters and whatever. But this audience, the core of this audience, the heart of this MMA, the UFC audience, they want him there. Look at how they treated Tom Wright, how they treated Gary Cook, Dave Schaller. Not that they were mean to them, but they were like, "Oh, bring Dana." Like, this is not a real press conference if Dana's not there. So, the fans still recognize him as their guy, and those fans, as long as they're going to be around, they're going to continue to want him to be there. And so, I think when he leaves, we're going to get a whole bunch of. You're either going to get a fake Dana, or you're going to get somebody who's so normal that that fans are just going to reject them. So that is my take.
Yeah, I think whenever he does leave, I'm not going to say the UFC will be on a downslide, but it might be like he'll either jump ship. I don't think he'll be along the boat as it's like sinking completely. He'll leave when it's like that first hole got poked in the ship and water's starting to, leak. And then like once it starts to touch his toes, I think he'll find a way to he'll squirm on out of there. Yeah, I think the next person who comes in after him is probably not. I don't know if they're gonna be ready. Like I feel like no matter what they do, no matter how good their intentions are, it's gonna be like when Goodell took over for what was the Tagliabue. I think and I don't like Goodell, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I feel like no matter what Goodell wanted to do, like it was just gonna be a hard road ahead, and I feel like whoever takes up after Dana, God bless their little heart, unless they're just some, like some people are just like really likable, they're really charismatic, they have that special it. Like unless it's one of those kind of people, I think they are going to be in for some rough, at least from fans. Fighters might be different, but fans might chew them alive.
I mean, Anna Cole has said this before, and he's absolutely right. Look at what kind of a person do you have to be in MMA or combat sports on a yearly basis, dealing with everything that goes wrong in the sport, running as many events as you do, dealing with all the backstage stuff that probably happens that we never hear about. Like the burnout rate has got to be tremendous. So it's like it's like replacing Bob Arum. There's just gonna be no way.
Yeah, like if they'll come in that sport a good person and they'll get their.
It's like those before and after president shots where you see them they look totally normal, and then when they're done they're gray.
Right.
Yeah.
Burnt out.
Yeah, it's gonna
Who
be
would
like
you?
that.
Okay, how about this? Who would you replace Dana with?
Some corporate stiff.
I don't
Some
know.
corporate stiff.
I'd go the Heyman route. Like, you have a president in name, or at least in like theory, and then it's literally just a bunch of dudes running the thing behind the scenes with a spokesperson every once in a while.
That's kind of what it is now, I believe.
My fear is that it's gonna be like if they're still with WME, it's just gonna be some random Hollywood schmuck.
Goodness gracious. That's about as harsh as the language as you've ever used.
That's my fear. That's my worst case scenario. Is they're just gonna grab and the whoever they grab, like he'll probably in his mind, he's not doing anything wrong. Like he just wants to have fun, but like he doesn't really know how like things are supposed to go, and he's just kind of, I don't know. As much as Dana gets on my nerves, I'm almost afraid for what comes after him, because I don't, like you said, it takes you gotta be a different kind of person to really run a sport like this, and I don't know. I don't know who comes after him.
DC.
Unless
In a perfect world, maybe.
that would be great. Let's do that. That'd be the only other option.
Shows up to a presser. He's got like a suit top tucked into sweats.
He puts John Jones on the prelims.
John Jones. Everybody related to John Jones. Everybody who knows John Jones.
I like that. DC as UFC president would be awesome.
I just can't think of anybody who has the enthusiasm and I guess the charisma to kind of do what Dana does. And I could see DC tearing the shit out of somebody for a bad fight. He doesn't strike me as a guy who can filter himself very well in that regard.
Oh my god, what about Connor?
Dude.
No. Actually, you know what? It's the last one of the later questions.
I don't know. Like, I think
question.
Connor. I feel like this is just my theory. Here's a conspiracy theory. I think Connor was planning to split from the UFC, or just find a way out of his contract, and then he got to be on his own a little bit and realized, like, holy shit, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and he started to kind of spiral, like right around 2017, late 16, early 17-ish, when he was kind of really out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he was just like, I can't do this.
He needed structure back.
Basically, like some people need a boss. You could be your own boss, but they still need somebody to kind of work. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. He needs to be kept. He can't wander too far away from home, where he just kind of.
Yeah, and you kind of gotta have.
Gets out of control.
You gotta have the voice to it too. Like, Dana has a very distinctive voice. Because my first thought was like a John Anik, but I don't think Anik's got the voice for that.
No, I do not want to watch Anik at every UFC.
That's bullying.
I'm sorry. Anik's cool at what he does. I don't want to see him being the head, figure. I don't think Anik's getting me excited for any fights.
Oh, man, well, that's a shame because he's got to call the fights. I like John Anik. I'm not taking this John Anik slander.
No, he's gotten better. I think I said this a couple episodes ago. Like, lately he hasn't really bothered me as much, and I don't know if it's because I'm not paying attention to him or if he's just getting better.
Or is it because Joe Rogan and DC won't let him get the word in edgewise?
That could be that. His dosage has gone down, so maybe that's why he doesn't bother me as much.
We have a lot of questions left.
Jesus Christ! This is gonna...
Like, I didn't realize it would take us so long to go through each one of them, but like.
All right, well, I gotta run. I'm not leaving. I'm here, but I gotta go get something in a different room. So the next question, just assume I had a 5-minute answer to a 2-minute question.
All right.
Well, what is it? Let me hear it first, and then I'll
best walkout.
Well, this person has like 4 questions.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, well, I'll let you do the first one at least. So at Fight Geek, the Fight Geek MMA, shout out to him. His first question is the best walkout music ever. I don't know if it's best because that's subjective, but my favorite has always been Anderson Silva with DMX, Ain't No Sunshine. That always like made me feel some kind of way when I heard it. So that's my answer.
Same.
Really?
Dude, I'm I don't want to say I'm a DMX fan, but he's a terrible human being.
Oh my God! Well, look, you separate the artist. You're the artist. You like the artist. I think it's iconic. I kind of like DC's entrance, to be honest with you. I think it fits his whole personality and all that.
What is his walkout music? I don't.
Right
remember.
above it, Lil Wayne and Drake.
I need to look this up.
Oh my God! All right, you
Some
chase
people's
that
interest...
down for me. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Next question. 2018 KO of the year.
I think I had an answer for this like a week ago.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This was one of those questions that when I saw, I had to research, so I had some time to think about this one.
All right, you give me yours, and then I'll look up what I had as KO of the year.
Yeah, I looked up a few, and literally like between MMA and boxing, there have been a lot of good KOs this year, but I think Machida and Vitor takes the cake for me. Like, if you're ever fighting Machida and he does that hand movement where it looks like he's trying to lull you to sleep, you need to move. You need to run. You you need to get out of the way, because he just kind of gave Vitor like this magical like hand movement, and it was like Vitor got like mesmerized, and then a second later a foot was in his chin, and that KO was just. It was just perfect. Like, he just foot right on the chin, no need to follow up. It was the perfect KO. So yeah, Machida to me has KO of the year so far.
See, like there's the dude who hit the Rolling Thunder back in like January at like that weird moat fighting karate event.
All right, what did I miss?
We're on KO of the year so far.
KO of the year.
KO of the year?
Yep. 2018
the-
KO of the year.
Oh, KO of the year. I thought you said kale like the vegetable. Would have to be Gaethje Vic for me.
Edgar Ortega.
That was my second one, cause that he literally like lifted Frankie like in orbit.
Whenever tall people fall really slowly, it can't be topped.
That's fair. That is a fair.
Yeah, that's very bad.
The pump KO
I
is
won't
always
add
the
it.
best.
I won't make fun of him too much. He's probably had a rough week.
Who, Vic? Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck him.
Mike, what the
That-
fuck
that-
is
he
wrong
just-
with you?
he just-
I have no sympathy for Lloyd Irvin dudes, man. It is what it is.
Jeez.
His fall reminded me of just the wacky waving inflatable too, man. Just hands are just kind of up, and it's yeah, like you said, when tall people fall, like tall people can't fall normal. Like when they get knocked out, it just always looks really extra, and yeah.
When tall. I can't remember what it was. It was Hagler Hearns, where the boxing media guy described it as like a palm tree stuck in the breeze. Just a very slow decline.
Oh man! All right, so you got Vic Gaethje. My KO of the year was Machida and Vitor.
I guess.
You know what? I'm gonna go Rockhold Romero.
See, but I feel bad saying that
Why?
because I feel bad for Luke Rockhold when he gets hit again.
I mean, I feel bad too in that instance, but
Because it's like the
Yeah.
first punch is the knockout punch, and then the second one is just like a.
The second one was just like, this is for my ancestors. Like, God,
He punched him.
he probably
so,
still.
He punched him so hard, and it looks so effortless.
I feel like he still feels that when he wakes up.
Dude.
Like,
it's like his falling dream, except it's just like Romero's fist up in his face.
Jesus Christ.
Like
That's just one of those KOs where I'm like, I can't fight for a living. Like, I could never.
it's one of those things where you just wonder like what he did to upset him to that point.
Right?
And then to make matters worse, he's concussed and he's fucked up. And Romero gives him a kiss. Like that's conflicting messages. That's an abusive relationship that I don't want to be a part of.
Right. Like, you didn't deserve that. Like that nobody should feel like that. Oh,
Just wound up and hit him as hard as fucking possible. I'm surprised his head
that
didn't
was
go through the fucking thing.
Oh my god.
that's one of those instances where I'm glad that wasn't in a ring, because the rope might have just fell off, or his head just would have.
Oh god, just like he would have got
Yeah.
propelled into like the first row.
Yeah.
See, I'm actually worried because I've seen guys hit their head on the rope a certain way and like break their necks, and that looked like a neck breaker to me. Like he would have,
Yeah, that
he
would've
would
been
have gotten. And then Robert
That
Whittaker
would
went
not have.
5 rounds with that man.
He is
Savage.
very, very good.
Savage.
And somebody wasn't disappointed that Paulo Costa Yoel Romero got canceled. I'm tired of somebody's trash opinions. Ugh.
I mean, hey, I want to see Romero at 205. I want to see
I do
him,
too. But it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere.
which is dumb because he hasn't made weight in like 3 fights now.
But Rockhold doesn't want to go up either, so I'm confused.
Yeah, Rocco needs.
Did
to
they
get-
not see freaking Anthony Smith murder the number 6
Right.
fighter in the division in like 20 seconds? It's infuriating.
I'd like to believe, and this is an honest opinion, I'd like to believe Romero is afraid he'll get put against Shogun and actually kill him.
Oh my, wait. So Stoges just texted us.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped some heat.
Oh, wow.
So apparently the UFC has
No. Why are we? No. Why are we
Oh,
doing
I
this?
see what you're going to talk about. You know what?
Jesus
No.
Christ.
No. You know what?
Ryan Hall is in the works.
I hope Ryan Hall flattens.
God.
That's it. And I call his turn.
I would throw
Turn
my
it back.
phone, but I got to keep the timer on. Jesus
How dare you
Christ.
put us through this, BJ?
Why are we doing this?
That's
Let's get to the next question.
It shouldn't happen, but it's going to happen. But at least they put him against somebody who's not going to knock him out.
We say that now.
I mean, if it happens, then it happens. I'm not a BJ Penn fan. But I hope he just go 3 rounds. Just have a grappling contest.
Pull out. Don't. Whatever that cord Tony tripped over. I mean, I don't want you to like blast your ACL out or anything, but just stub a toe or I don't know, catch like a cold. So I don't know. I don't know. Next question. Still with the Fight Geek. Under the radar MMA prospects. I guess anybody you got your eye on?
Well, Julio Arce, since he's got a fight booked, I really like his game. But again, I'm biased. Yeah, because she fought last night. Virna Jandiroba, the UFC strawweight champion.
I feel like every major prospect is either signed to one of those like 30-fight prelim Bellator deals or is fighting on the Contender Series.
Yep.
So-
There's no more regional MMA.
So I don't see anybody who I'm really, really excited about. Actually, hold on. What is the name of them? Y'all just give me a minute. You talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Well, I have one. Well, I don't know if this. I have 2 that came to mind for me. Sometimes I'm not even really sure what prospect means anymore. But first person that popped in mind, she fights in Invicta. She is an atomweight. Alicia Zapatella, who I mentioned on, I think she fought on Invicta FC 30, I want to say. I feel like she's somebody to keep an eye on at atomweight. She looks like she's going to be somebody in the future that's going to put on a lot of exciting fights for them. So I would say Alicia Zapatella. Does Song Yadong count as a prospect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll throw him
Why
in
not?
there. Like, I really hope he doesn't just get stuck fighting in overseas cards. Like, when we go to China, we just throw him on there. Like, he needs to be, you know, I want to see more of what he can do. I hope he can fight more frequently, because I think he's somebody to keep an eye on. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've seen so far. So I would definitely throw him in there.
I agree with you on one hand, on a big hand, but on a smaller hand, on a much smaller hand. We can't like punish the UFC for doing that when we also talk about wanting them to protect young fighters and put them in a position to win. So I don't want to be too hypocritical. My hypocrisy meter is only so big. Only so big. Okay. Anybody got anybody else?
Those are the only two people I could really.
Like, what counts as under the radar nowadays? Like, everybody gets signed to the UFC right away.
Everybody signed to the UFC. Everybody is signed to Bellator. PFL collects. Worth not only that, but how many prospects fight on cards that you can watch, like on Fight TV or.
The thing is, I was gonna say like even some of the guys from LFA, like I don't even know if they count as prospects. Or some of them, like if you look at their champs, some of them have been fighting for a long time. Like I don't know.
All right.
Plus, I don't even know what prospect really.
If
you were
got
now.
his name. Okay, Stefano Paterno. He's the Cage Warriors welterweight champion. He's from Italy. He's only 23 years old. I thought he was 21, but he's 23, so still pretty young. Fighting Cage Warriors. He's beaten John McGuire. He's beaten Cody McKenzie. So he's beaten some regional guys, and he's eaten up plenty of the Italian fillers, so to speak, on those so Italian cards. But he's an interesting guy who I've kind of become a fan of. I've seen him fight a few times. Saw him fight at Bellator. Saw him fight in Cage Warriors. And I'm a big fan of this kind of like Italian MMA resurgence we're getting. I like the fact that you guys know me. I love the idea of fighters from all over the place getting their chance to stand out, and I hope that this guy is as good as I think he might be. There's a guy at EFL, but I can't remember his name. He's like the Anna Cole has talked about him a few times.
EFL?
Yeah. Is it EFL or EFC? What's the African?
EFC.
Okay, AFC. All right, so he's like the bantamweight dude. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the Zulu?
I don't know.
Or Sayed.
I don't know.
Was he on the flyweight tough season?
No, he was no. God, who was it? There wasn't a Pena, a guy Pena.
Tomarte Pena. There you go.
Is he under the radar? Is he still a prospect?
I mean, 28. He's been fighting for like what, 7 years?
That's a Bellator prospect.
Yeah.
A Bellator heavyweight division prospect. That's a UFC heavyweight division prospect.
I don't know who counts as under the radar anymore. Like, Petr Yan fought on a fight that had like 500,000 YouTube views.
I guess at this point, I feel like this day and age, prospect just means like the casual fan doesn't know you. Like we know because we're in the thick of things, but the average Joe who just kind of only, you know, they're not really doing like their homework. I guess that's kind of what I think prospect means now.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Like I got Kanaka Murata, who Invicta just signed. There's a whole I can sit here for an hour just naming just like people who either fight on the regional scene or only have like 1 or 2 fights in Bellator or the UFC.
Right.
I would say that last Bellator card was like all prospects: Romero Cotton, Taiwan Claxton.
Prospect means like at this point in MMA's culture, I think prospect means like under 5 fights signed with the top gym.
Basically,
I think that's what a prospect is.
That's fair. Isn't speaking of prospects, I guess you would count. Is Sabina Mazo fighting against him?
Oh yes, she's gonna be fighting for the flyweight title and
yeah, I would throw her in there. She's been head kicking people in the other countries and universes, so I'd throw her name in there. So that's a few prospects. And the last question from him: what is the best combat video game?
What kind of combat?
I'm gonna say for the sake of the question, I'm gonna say fighting game. I'm gonna assume that's what he meant. For me, I can't pinpoint one game, but I'll pick a series, and I'm just gonna say Tekken. For me personally.
You guys remember Ready to Rumble?
That's
Yeah,
boxing game? Yeah.
Not the WCW.
No.
Like I think somebody was going there.
No. Yeah, I definitely remember that. Afro Thunder and who else was in that game? That game was pretty fun.
I think that might be one of my favorite games. My favorite combat
Those are good
games.
times.
Mine is.
Go
Mine is Here Comes the Pain.
WWE.
Yes.
That was actually a really good game.
Speaking of combat games, EA Sports, if you guys don't make another fight night,
They are.
like,
They
Are
announced
they?
one recently. Doesn't I
because
don't.
I
The
need
UFC
that.
game
I need
stopped
that.
selling.
It's pretty
Fight
weird
nights were
that
so
combat
good.
sports games are like, or not combat. Okay, it's weird that fighting games are a big deal, but combat sports games don't sell.
Dude, like I'm not gonna say my introduction, but like one of the first times I actually sat down and absorbed anything UFC related was the first UFC THQ game. Like my
Oh man, I
Undisputed.
remember that. Who was in that demo?
Undisputed or the really really shitty one that had
No,
Tito
the
and
old
McCarthy
one.
in it.
I think the demo was like Frank
I think it was
Shamrock
Undisputed.
and yeah. I love that game.
my
And
friend
in
would
hindsight,
just
it
pick
was
like Chuck
probably
Liddell and
terrible.
knock me out every 2 seconds.
Oh, those are good times. That game was probably terrible, but I loved it when I first played it. I think I was just happy to see the UFC in a video game. I think I didn't care how bad it was.
So I guess this is a hot take, but I actually don't like fighting games.
That's not a hot take.
Although if I had to pick a fighting game that I liked, it's Soul Calibur, which will
Ooh,
probably
you should
reveal a
do
lot
one.
about me as a fighting gamer.
But no, the new one looks awesome.
Well, I think Soul Calibur is
New
the
one.
button mashing of the button masher of the fighting universe. Like I think Marvel vs. Capcom is like the it's like the
I can't play those.
it's the fine wine of fighting games, and I guess Soul Calibur is the monster energy.
Really?
I like Soul Calibur.
Yeah, that's how I've always been told.
I think Soul Calibur is really awesome. I enjoy it.
And Tekken, I think I played one of them. I played Tekken 2, and it had the.
It's the best one.
You sure?
It's my favorite because that was like my introduction. That wasn't my introduction to fighting games, but like that was the fighting game that I played that I was like, okay, this is my favorite genre of games now. Like these are the kind of games I want to get good at.
I think I remember Tekken 2 because it had the robot Jack 2, whatever it was. And I played his story to completion. And I don't remember what happened at the end of it, but when it was over, I was just like, I don't want to play this ever again. Like I was depressed. I was depressed. I don't know if he dies or
God, what was his? I can't remember.
functions.
Yeah, that game did have some pretty crazy. Some of those endings were kind of wild.
And the Dead or Alive series, I have kind of fond memories of, but that'll be saved for Dojo Talk After Dark, which I assume is the second podcast that Anti-Cool. Anti-Cool, Stoges, and Brendan Schaub under some candlelight, talking that good stuff.
Talking dick pics.
Talking? Can't talk.
Oh man.
You can't talk about it if you're not going to be about it, Brendan.
Exactly.
Shout outs to the Fight Geek MMA. Appreciate that question. Questions, yeah. All right, we're getting kind of sort of down to the end of these, sort of. Next question.
There are a lot of qualifiers there.
Maybe, potentially. It's in the mix.
Yeah, we're
We're
almost
in the
there.
mix.
At John Irwin 19761, his question is simply, what was the best fight ever? I'm gonna just throw myself. I'll give you
Simply.
two. I'll
Made
give
it
you
sound
one.
so easy.
I know it's not. This was another question that beforehand I was wrecking my brain trying to think of, but I'll there are a lot of fights that came to mind. The first MMA, I don't know if it's best. I think for me it's just favorite. Maybe I don't know. But the first two fights, anytime anybody asks me this question, is always Jones and Gus and Nick Diaz and Paul Daly. I don't know if those are technically the best, but those are going to be my best because those are like two of my favorite fights ever. And then I have to throw this in there because I was watching this before we started recording. Boxing with Diego Corrales and Luis Castillo won. So I'm gonna throw those fights into that ring. But if I had to pick one, just for the sake of the question, it would be Jones Gus.
My favorite MMA fight of all time is Robbie Lawler, Roy McDonald too. So
It's weird because like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't think you shouldn't have to explain why that's probably one of them. But go ahead. No, just like for me, it's weird because, there were like fights. There are certain fights that are better than other fights for me, but there aren't certain fights that make me feel the way other fights do. Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I feel differently. Yoel Romero, Robert Whittaker 2 probably isn't the greatest fight of all time, but it's the most recent fight where I like felt something. So that might be more enjoyable, and there's recency bias, but that might be more enjoyable than like Condit Lawler, which is one of my favorite fights ever, but has probably the most bittersweet ending for me as a fight fan. God, best fight ever. What if we just Robbie Lawler from 2015 to 2016?
He has all of them.
Like no, like
he was in a lot of
like
them.
Law.
Like
You could add 2014 in there as well because he had the first Hendricks Lawler fight is really underrated.
The first is it's easily one of the best UFC title fights ever.
Right. You have that one, and then you have the Rory fight, which was amazing, and then you have the Condit fight, which was amazing, and then even the like Hendricks Lawler 2 has the best fifth round ever. From Robbie Lawler's perspective, he just turned into like a beast. And then you have the tragic ending into the with Woodley, so it's kind of like a weird career. I would have to go with Jones Gus, or you know what? Never mind. Carwin Lesnar. No fight made me feel something the way Carwin Lesnar did.
Oh man, I saw that in the theater, and it was was it that? No, I saw Kane Lesnar in the theater.
Because like best fight and like, because sometimes the best fights aren't the ones that make you feel like. It's just weird to explain. Like it's not like the best movie you ever see may not be the best movie ever. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I was gonna say it's not like, because even with Jones and Gus, like technique for technique, is it the best fight ever? Probably not. But if you take in account the entertainment of the fight, everything surrounding the fight, and then just like the caliber, like what it meant, and you package all that together, like that's just what makes it. Like there are other fights that are probably like aesthetically more pleasing than Jones Gus,
right,
but they didn't have as much meaning as that fight did.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Like Holm versus Rousey is not a great fight because it's really just a one-sided blowout, but it's one of the best fights because of everything around it. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like I hope I'm making some sense here. But yeah, Carwin Lesnar to me. Because I can't Condit Lawler, I just can't do that.
Yeah, Condit Lawler would have won for me if the right decision.
Yeah, if judges were fair and kind and just. What are you laughing at?
For another.
I don't take this Carlos Condit lightly. Dude, there's a whole alternate universe where Carlos Condit was the welterweight champion. Twice. I mean,
it probably ended tragically.
I mean, it probably would have ended with Woodley. But still.
Oh my God! Can you imagine him have to fight Woodley again?
He would win. I don't want to hear it. Carlo Condit wins every fight he's in.
I still believe he was on his way to a comeback before he got injured in that fight.
I do too, but then again,
what can you do?
Yeah.
Well, judges can do their jobs.
All right. This next fight. I said next fight.
Good question, by the way.
Next question. This next question kind of ties into something we mentioned a little bit earlier, somewhat. I don't know if this is S Hampton 209 or if that's Shempton, all one word. I'm not sure. Question is, will an MMA fighters union ever happen, and would McGregor be the best fighter to spearhead it? So I'm gonna go right in and say McGregor would not be the best fighter to spearhead it. the head of your union cannot throw dollies at buses and smack referees. I don't think that makes a strong case for your union. So yeah, I'm gonna go no on that one. Will a union ever happen?
No.
I'm gonna say
I'm optimistic.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say what is
yes.
going? Like, who's falling down bookcases? It's like Page Masters going on over there. Jesus Christ. I think it'll happen. As I now creak and crackle. I think it'll happen, but I think people need to be prepared to not have MMA for a year.
I think it'll happen. Just I don't even know how to defend why I think it'll happen.
Because you hope it does.
But it's just like things. The tide always turns at some point. Like
I think it's bound to happen. It's gonna happen eventually. You know, especially if they do sell again. Like, I think that'll be like the catalyst.
And like, I don't know if it'll be what we think or hope it'll be, if that even makes sense. But like, something's gonna have to happen at some point. Like, it's never gonna lean so far in one. The pendulum always swings back the other way at some point. And like every other sport, I want to say every other sport has a union. I don't know if I'm wrong in that, but at least all the major ones do. There's an NFL union. There's an NBA players union. I don't know if baseball has one. I don't really watch baseball. So
they do.
I would assume they have one. I'm pretty sure hockey probably has one. So
I believe they do. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So like, it's gonna happen. Like MMA still. It's still kind of like a young sport, if you think about it. Like, it hasn't been around as long as a lot of these other major sports have been. But like, I think they'll eventually get to that point where like there'll be some kind of representation. Something's gonna happen. It might not even be called a union, but there'll be something that'll happen, and fighters will be represented better, whatever that looks like in the future. But yeah, I think
I just think people need to be prepared for.
Yeah, things will change.
It's not going to be pretty, you know? Because, look, there are two things that people always hate in sports. Politics and labor strife. And when this happens, whether it's a union, whether it's collective bargaining, whatever the case may be, when it happens, it's not going to be pretty. So just be prepared for it to be pretty ugly. You know? You think things are bad now? Wait until they have to start. Wait until strikes start happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for some picket signs.
I mean,
who's leading the union picket strike?
Got to be somebody who can spell. I've seen some Twitter accounts, and I'm not sure if I want some people writing on some signs.
Who is that? Before we close out that question, who do you think would be the best fighter to represent the union?
You want to know a really interesting one? I think Carlos Condit. Respected by fans. There's nobody who dislikes him. Respected by the UFC. So.
Well spoken.
Yeah, you know, father is a politician, I believe. So he's a little bit more familiar with the game. I think he would be an interesting. He would be who I would choose.
Mm-hmm. If this was before he left, I'd probably say GSP.
I don't know if the head of the union can believe in aliens. Yeah, he could, but I don't know if he needs to make it like
a stance.
Yeah, like.
But I think whoever would, I don't know about leading the union, but about being like a figurehead or like somebody.
Yeah, but then again,
you need what? Yeah.
For the whatever it was. Mafafa, whatever.
Yeah, and that was after he left.
Yes.
Like, it would need somebody who was A, around, and B, like, has actual pull and power.
Right.
So.
I was going to say DC.
Hey, maybe. But
that would be like the top 10 anime betrayal right there.
Oh, man.
But I think that does paint the picture of, like, how difficult it is to pick a singular
leader, yeah.
Because you need somebody. They have to be a stand-up person. I'm gonna say like a spotless pass, but like it's got to be somebody who hasn't had too many problems or issues.
You're not gonna have John Jones as the head of your union.
Right.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
That's not gonna work. Yeah, that's not gonna work. But yeah, that's a good question. Shout outs to Shimpton or S. Hempton. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's all one word for that question. This next one, we got another about 4 or 5 part question.
While I'm here.
So I think some of these though we can get through pretty quick.
Well,
some of them
here's the thing. You say that, and then we can't. So you like
But-
set us up for it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Anical.
This comes from at MMAN024 on Twitter. His first question: if you were to have a Wild 'N Out episode with UFC fighters, who would you want in it and why?
John Moraga. Chicano John. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer.
Tyron Woodley, because I know you can rap.
I want Sage Northcutt.
I was about to say Sage Northcutt.
Sage has to be in here.
Andre Feely. Feely releases music.
Not true. Andre Feely.
All right, so we got Moraga, Feely, Northcutt.
Sensei, how are we gonna get you to review the Feely rap? Feely, Andre Feely.
I never heard.
Haven't. Interesting. Is it out there somewhere? It's got to be out there somewhere.
Yeah, somebody send me a link. What is his rap name? Just Feely? I hope not.
Oh.
Did they actually pick a rap name?
What about Felony, aka Crazy Horse?
Why not? I want to throw a random Brazilian in there.
I was gonna say Yoel Romero, which is kind of.
That'll work. There we go. That'll work. Oh, I lost the question. Part 2. All right, these next ones are just kind of pick 'em. Sonnen or Fedor?
I'm gonna go with Fedor,
Yeah, I got Fedor.
but mostly on faith.
I would go Fedor as well. Sonnen loses until he. Sonnen loses unless he wins. So I'm going with Fedor.
I got.
What about Kevin
Next
Casey, by the
one.
way, to that last question?
Is he in the UFC anymore?
No, but he could be in the Wilding Out thing. Yeah. Never heard his
Allegedly.
I'm so unaware of all these. Like the only MMA
He
rapper I
moves
knew
his
was
lips
Conor
and
McGregor.
words come out that rhyme, but I don't necessarily know if he's a rapper.
Oh god. All right.
Who was the dude in the background, like making the hard face? The actor, whose name escapes me.
Oh, he was on like The Hills or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm sad that I even know who that is. Where has my life gone?
Next
Spencer
question,
Pratt.
Mitriona.
There you go.
Spencer, who is that? Oh, I'm gonna search this real quick. That name does not ring a bell.
Spencer Pratt?
Spencer Pratt. I'm also very terrible with like actor names.
Where the hell is Feely's rap? Frustrated now.
Can't be good if you can't search
That's
Found
an
it.
opinion. It's an opinion. We don't do opinion here. We do fact.
it. I'll leave that alone. We'll come back.
It's on YouTube.
All right, I have to find a link.
I got it right here. I
Well,
just don't know how to send it. I am a caveman to this Skype bet.
we'll go to the next question.
Wind
Mitriona Bader.
Hater.
Are you saying that for any other reason other than the obvious?
I got.
I just can't imagine Mitrione stopping the takedown.
Yeah, I got Bader.
I'm gonna go Mitrione.
And
You know what? I'll go Mitrione.
Hater.
All right, and the next question to round that all out. So who wins the entire tourney?
Bader.
I'm going Fedor.
I'm gonna take a heavy leap of faith and say Fedor, and that'll set us up for Fedor Minakov.
Which will be all types of sad.
We don't need to talk about it. And the next question, last question from him: who wins the Bellator welterweight tourney?
See, I'm a lot less sure on this one.
I don't think Rory is as much of a lock as people think he is. But at the same time, I don't know.
No, because I think he's kind of cooked from a physical standpoint.
Like John Fitch
like,
isn't gonna break his nose, but like does Douglas Lima?
Like he's gonna come out of his side of the bracket. It's who on that other side.
Are we sure that John Fitch can't do that? Are you underestimating John Fitch?
I think you might be overestimating John Fitch.
Is John Fitch is John Fitch winning the welterweight tournament like your cancel your subscription moment? Like you're just gonna be like, I'm out of here. I'm done with this.
This whole tournament was rigged. Like I get it, he was a hitman, but come on, we're taking this too far.
I actually had to look up the brackets.
Dude, his side of the bracket is loaded. Like it's like him, Fitch, Korshkov, and Lima, right?
To show you how much attention.
The his side of the bracket was Ed Ruth and Gracie.
Really?
Yeah, the other side of the bracket was Lima, Korshkov, and Daily MVP.
Yeah, we discussed it. That yeah.
I could have sworn they had loaded up the one side so they could get either
and they I feel like they left Roy's side weak so they could assure that he would make it to the finals, and then the other side is where all the fun's going on.
I thought that they what they did, which I believe we discussed, was they gave MVP the easiest route in terms of style and gave Rory the easiest route in terms of opponent. But anyways, like I was saying, to show how much attention I'm paying to this conversation, I clicked welterweight tournament, like Bellator, and I'm looking it up, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm like, why is Joe Riggs in this thing? Why is Sean Burrell? And I look, and it's the season 10 tournament. So I'm not even. So you guys let me know who you think is going to win Andre Koreshkov against Jesse Juarez. Mark Scanlon against Adam McDonough. Give me your opinions on those.
Oh man. God, it's hard. Now I think about it, it's kind of hard to say Rory won't win because, like, I kind of want to pick Koreshkov, but I don't think he gets past Lima. But I don't know if Lima beats. God, this is. You know what? I don't care. I'm going out there. I'm sticking with my homie. Douglas Lima's.
I'm gonna make a hot take in a minute. Give me Ed Ruth. Is he in it? I don't even know if he's in it right now.
No, he's in it.
Right now, all I know is that Jesse Juarez and War Machine and Joe Riggs is in this one.
Nice to know that War Machine's getting the Floyd Mayweather treatment. They're letting him out of the jail to fight.
Oh man. That's a. I don't know if that's a hot take. I think. To pick
War Machine getting out of jail is a hot take, or is it?
Well, not that. No, that's not. No.
Santa Claus just took us in a whole new direction, a whole new world, as Aladdin would say.
Man, Ed Ruth.
I just think Rory will be. I think Rory is going to be like the shock upset because nobody ever wins these tournaments without an upset or two, and he's the only guy I think who can really be upset. Because I think they gave MVP a bunch of strikers, which he should win.
How do you think MVP would do against Lima?
I think Lima kicks the crap out of him.
Probably something along those lines, but I don't necessarily even know if Lima makes it that far. Because I think Lima's got to beat Koreshkov, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's knocked him out.
Are they just going to keep fighting in like perpetuity?
Yes.
It'll be the new. That's Chandler Alvarez of welterweight.
I'm cool with that. I like that. I like those two. They make good fights.
Well, their first fight was god awful.
Excuse me.
It was.
Excuse me.
I don't even know if I picked it. Oh yeah, I got Lima. Winning.
I'm gonna just go with. I'm gonna just stick with Rory. That being said, there's a good chance he gets his head blown off in the final round.
How did the UFC sign the wrong Lima brother? I mean, no. Like, technically Diego went through tough, but like they had the opportunity to sign.
Douglas.
I mean, wait, which Lima's which now? Douglas.
Douglas.
They had. I was
Yeah.
gonna say Daniel Lima.
What?
It's early, fellas. It's early.
How dare you disrespect Douglas like that?
I like Douglas Lima. I'm just saying they signed the wrong one. They could have gotten
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
They could have, and I was like, that was one of the guys. I wish I was on Tumblr back then when he was kind of wiping people out in MFC, because I thought he was like the easiest sign, but they got Jimmo instead.
Rest in
Oh,
peace.
man.
Jimmo's big, man.
Yeah, rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yes, rip.
So, thank you for oh, you say rip.
What do you want from me?
I was the only reason I bring this up, I was listening to another podcast, and I don't remember who they were talking about, but somebody said rip. I'm like, who said? People say rip? That's a real.
Every once in a while.
It's weird.
That's amazing.
It's weird.
Damn, this podcast is gonna be really long. Shortens it. Has to explain.
All right, that was questions from at MMAN024. Appreciate it. So the last question that I have before I guess we get to the ones that Stoges have. So this is Garbanzo from Tumblr. Shout outs to him. So he has a couple. So first question: what modern day fighter do you take to UFC 1, Pride 1, etc.?
Yoel Romero.
Voice.
Who do you say?
I take Hoist Gracie back at like 60 years old.
You don't want to know. This is what you'll become. Listen, if you don't want to see Yoel Romero against Art Jimerson.
Dude, yes. I can't even like fathom that in my brain that they do the same sport. It's like, no, this is completely different.
You're saying that, but in 1993, Yoel Romero was probably 34 years old, so he was old enough to like. They're on the same age length.
That's crazy.
Harold Howard against Yoel Romero. Oh my God.
God, this is a hard question. Not a hard. It's a fun.
Could
question.
Yoel
I'm
Romero
trying to
beat
really think.
everybody at UFC 1 in a row? Like
Yoel Romero could beat everybody at UFC 1 in the same fight.
What is it, like the one with Jet Li?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yoel Romero against Jesus. Yoel Romero against Tank Abbott.
Cody McKenzie.
Don't do that.
This is just weird. I want to see if he can just guillotine everybody in the tournament.
Oh,
I don't know, man, because there were like no athletic commissions back then. He may be tore up before the first fight.
Ooh, you're right.
So. This is a man who I think told Chael Sonnen that he left fighting just to live on a boat and drink, to be a merchant marine and drink.
I mean, we all have our dreams.
Yoel Romero is my choice, very clearly.
God, who do I throw in there? You know what? Because the UFC was wild, and I felt like something like this could have happened back then. I'm gonna throw Chris Cyborg in there.
Ooh,
That's interesting. That's out of the box.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's out of the box.
I'm gonna throw
See,
Chris
you went
Cyborg
for
in there.
intriguing. I just went for violent.
I mean, that's a different type of intriguing.
What, the first
I think it'd still
death?
be violent. I think
Yes.
she still clocks somebody and they die, and people start looking around like, oh. I have no doubt she catches at least 3 bodies. No, she might win. She's gonna kill somebody. in this
I
race.
think she could beat the shit out of Tank.
Well, hold on, just for a second. When you say kill somebody, do you mean literal or figure?
Not literal.
Well, I think Yoel Romero would be literal.
Yeah, he
Because
probably
referees
would. He
were
would
not
literally
they were not quick on the trigger back then, and the first flying knee, I think he would like freeze the audience, so he could probably get as many ground and pound shots as he wanted before somebody stopped.
You know what would be another one take roided up Vitor.
Dude.
The Vitor that was throwing spinning back kicks. And yeah, let's throw him in UFC
I want to
1.
take TRT Vitor and like have him carry a picture of him on the reality show with the feet, and then show it to young Vitor, and like it's like, this is your future. Change now. Stop now. Like stop your problems. Who else would be interesting? You know what? Here's a good one. What if Mighty Mouse was in the place of the Gracie at UFC 1?
He still smokes everybody.
No, I'm saying, but would the image of flyweight be different if it was Mighty Mouse, like from the very start?
See, I don't think the problem is with flyweight that they're small. It's that they're not fighting bigger dudes. You know what I mean? Because there's no underdog thing there.
But I'm saying, like, if he was at UFC 1, and it's like the same story we got with Gracie, except it's Mighty Mouse who's even smaller. Like, if he's wiping people out, like, would that have changed the narrative on smaller fighters?
I don't know if it would have carried to the rest of the division. It might have just been him.
You know what it probably would have done?
Here.
We probably would have had guys be like, why do we need a flyweight division? Mighty Mouse beat all these dudes who are like 100 pounds heavier than him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He might have killed the UFC then. They're like, this fucking little guy is the best fighter? I don't want to be part of this.
But now they would have really thought like fighting was illegitimate. Cause like you train all this martial arts, and here's this guy who weighs 40 pounds, and he just.
What is the? I'm trying to think of what was Best Buy in 1993.
That made me think. I threw like John Lineker back there, or like Dotson when he was in his prime, cause he's another little dude. Like he would have been flatlining people. He would have not. He'd have started to.
Holy shit, Lineker against Tank Abbott.
That's a fight.
That's a barbecue fight right there.
Oh man. And actually, the second part of his question, this is interesting. What historical do you abduct from the past as a teenager and bring them to present day to have them train in MMA and become a fighter?
That's interesting. Historical figure?
I guess.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yep.
To do with polio?
No. That's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. What is wrong with you?
No, Teddy Roosevelt had polio.
But wasn't Teddy Roosevelt like the top flight wrestler?
That's why. So the reason why he was a wrestler is because his parents wanted him to do something about his polio. Like he wrestled and boxed.
Are you sure? I know FDR had polio. That's why he was in the wheelchair. Now we're all looking it up.
He had some type of ailment where like it was hard for him to move, so they made him take up boxing so he would be in shape. I remember that.
Abe Lincoln a wrestler as well?
Dude,
Yeah, I was gonna go Abe. Abe was gonna be my historical person.
Dude, there are a lot of
Well, back in the day, that was.
Yeah, no, like a lot of presidents have wrestled. My high school wrestling coach.
Roosevelt also did judo.
Has a DVD called Presidents Who Wrestled. It's really weird.
How tall was Abe?
Like
With
6 feet.
like he'd have been like
or without the hat?
Like he would have been like a freak show fighter, I think. It's because of his frame, like.
All right, I'm just gonna float this out here. We can take it from where we go. We build the time machine, right? We're going with Garbanzo. He's given us a time machine. So we get in the time machine and we go back to Abe Lincoln. And we take Abe Lincoln out of the woods, no chopping trees. And we put him at like AKA. And Abe trains for a year, and then he fights Hong Man Choi.
Hey, I'm all for it. I am all for it.
I'm looking to see. I don't see anything about. He had asthma.
That might have been it then.
This is going to surprise you, but asthma is in fact not polio.
Like,
I have asthma, and I'm pretty sure I don't have polio.
no, I could have sworn like it was like a thing where he like couldn't move.
I'll continue to see if he's got
No,
any.
but I'm saying the
any
same
more
thing you
polio.
are though. But
Oh man. So Abe would have been the future, if we could have transported.
Could you imagine the promos Abe? Oh man, no. What if Abe Lincoln comes back and we have this image of him and he's like a Colby Covington? Like he gets on the mic and oh man.
Oh.
I want Abe Lincoln, Yoel Romero.
You know, I'm gonna go with
You know why you can't make Abe Lincoln Yoel Romero? Because the slaves would have never gotten free at that point.
Jesus. You telling me Yoel Romero wouldn't have taken the mantle and freed the slaves?
Oh, yeah, no, that's a fair point. I was thinking of it more along lines of he just would have killed Abe and then.
Oh my God. Can somebody out there like take the John Wilkes Booth thing and put Yoel Romero in?
Yoel Romero just needs to go to every time period and just like rewrite history.
Time traveling Yoel Romero and Sage Northcutt.
Oh man. But yeah, so
We're never
those are all of the questions. Those are all the questions that I have listed.
Oh man.
So you have to read the ones that Stoges.
I'm imagining
Stoges
Yoel
said.
Romero and the Trojan horse.
The thing is, like, I feel like Yoel like can fit like every time period. Like, Yoel could have been like that cool guy in the '70s with a fro at a party. He also could have been like a gladiator warrior. Like, I feel like Romero fits everywhere.
Oh my God. Yoel Romero, Thiago Santos. Who else? Andrei Arlovsky seems like he could fit in any time.
Oh man.
Now I'm
My
going
answer-
to. Go ahead.
My answer would probably be Rasputin.
I'm not gonna say what I wanted to say. But go ahead.
Do
Can you
it. Do it.
Explain. No.
Dude.
I'm not saying it.
The man got the man was. They tried to murder him like a dozen different times. And it almost never worked.
Yeah, but they bringing him back to. Why? Well, could he fight? Like, are we bringing him to the fight?
I want to just see how much he can absorb before he goes out. I'm not gonna lie.
Now I'm thinking of Yoel Romero against Rasputin.
Oh Lord.
Yoel Romero would convert him. He would just say "I love you" until he's like, "All right, you know what?" It's the worst. The worst. Who would we not want to send back in time? Who would not be a good representative of MMA?
Who am I not sending?
Like, we have to send one person back to the past to be like the best image of MMA.
Probably Jeff Munson.
Is there a reason why?
It's just because he's crazy.
Puds.
Pud? Wojnarowski?
Puds is the best of MMA.
I don't know why, but I'm imagining Ronnie Yaya like is the worst potential person to send back in time. But I don't know why. I think it's because like he's so unassuming and so uninteresting.
Who will we send back from present day who might lose?
Punk?
No, like somebody like legit, who might actually like get knocked out, or maybe just
Punk?
know.
Punk. Who's the guy who's a master of like self-destruction in a fight?
Oh, I don't know.
Go ahead, say it. Let's hear it. You guys say it. We've
I
already
can't.
buried enough people.
And in the chance that he's listening, don't take this the wrong way. I'm still a fan, but just the way his career has gone lately, somehow Luke Sanders would go back to the past. If he would be winning the fight, and then he would get like knee barred.
Gustafson.
And
I
that
wouldn't
would
send
be it.
Gustafson back. He'd find a way to lose the decision.
He probably would get injured.
Fuck.
The fight probably- the fight might just not.
To be fair, in his defense, I don't think gym equipment was as strenuous back then. So, what's he gonna do? Fall off the rope that you gotta climb?
I don't know. He will find. He's found many ways.
I'm just thinking of all the things in our world would be different if Yoel Romero was in charge of handling certain problems.
Oh man.
Send Romero to the Berlin Wall to negotiate that.
I think Romero could have stopped like all major world wars. Like I think he could have been that. He could have brought us all together.
I mean, if you see that out on the battlefield,
It would be Yoel Romero and Thiago Santos, just those two alone. You mean I gotta fight a guy with a fucking hammer?
I was gonna say, you send a guy back in time with a hammer on his chest. They probably would think he was like a god or something.
Oh my god.
Oh man, MMA and time traveling. We never knew we needed this. MMA and time traveling. This is.
Oh my god. I'm trying to think of like Sage Northcutt.
He would just bring purity to the land.
I think of all the time periods that could have used Sage Northcutt. He could have stopped the Civil War.
Guys.
I just came back from the future. I just saw, what was he watched? What was it, Roots he said he watched? He was upset?
no, he watched
100 years, what was it?
we watched the recent Birth of a Nation film.
Oh.
Is that what it was called?
I don't know. You don't realize how bad this is? You guys. Mr. Lincoln, Mr. Grant, Mr. Lee.
He really calls everybody Mr.
Yeah. The worst.
Oh,
Mr.
man.
Hitler, this is a bad idea.
Oh, that would be great. That was a fun question. Oh man, what are the questions that Stoges had? I know he had a couple.
All right, this one's specifically from Stoges. Who was the greatest IFL fighter of all time?
Ooh.
I'll let you guys handle this because I know off the top of my head I could not come up with it.
Wait, why not? Do you not remember anybody?
I don't.
Oh my god! Everybody starts typing. I remember one guy, but I want to make sure that I'm accurate.
I mean,
I don't want to disparage a man. Is this him?
I'm gonna go to the wiki page.
That's what we're all doing. Oh, I got him. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Bartimus. Bart Palashevsky.
Bart Palashevsky?
Yeah, that would be my guy.
Jens Pulver.
Are you not a Bartimus
is
fan?
he not film?
No, I'm just thinking
I'm
of other people.
I'm going by the first.
Who'd you got, Sensei?
Hold up. You know what? I might change my answer. I was gonna say Jens Pulver. You know what? I'm sticking with Jens Pulver.
Including coaches or just fighters?
I'm on the right.
Oh my god. Stage Northcutt in it.
Yeah, because I'm on the Wikipedia page and it says along with the traditional 5-on-5 team system matches, the IFL also has occasional super fights between various fighters that do not count towards the team system. Oh, sorry, so some of these fighters were not associated with IFL. I guess I can't do that. Okay, yeah, that's why I got Jen.
I can't believe we're actually trying to have a conversation after discussing Sage Northcutt.
My answer is Ben Rothwell.
You know what? For the sake of this conversation, we dragged this out long enough, and I'm going with Jens Pulver. He was on the card, so he counts. I don't care.
Of course. Stokes like, fuck, I'm going to send these questions in. They're going to be the best. And Sensei's just like, I don't care. Let's go. Jens Pulver, whatever.
He was better than whoever your favorite.
Robbie Lawler?
Oh. All right, I lost that one. Never mind. My answer is null and void.
We're just going by guys who fought on
I'm sticking with Bartimus.
Yeah, Robbie would have that.
Man,
then.
Robbie Lawler at UFC 1.
Every time you say Barnabas, I think you mean Brad Imus.
No, not Brad Imus. Not Brad Imus, not the other Imus who does the morning show. Bartimus.
All right, so we got Bart, Robbie, and then Jens Pulver is an alternate.
Which Miller brother was in? Was it Dan Miller who was in the IFL?
Dan.
All right, I'll go with Dan Miller actually, because Dan Miller is a nicer guy and he's a good dude. And he's from New Jersey, and I imagine Bartimus is from like Iowa.
I went with Ben Rothwell because he won he was 9-0 in the IFL. Also, he beat Travis Fulton. All right. So you want to take this? You want guys want this next one? You guys want this next
Sure.
one?
Sure.
Right.
I'm lost, but go ahead. I'm gone now.
All right. From Stoges boy Jake, he asks: Khabib versus the Bear 2, who wins?
Is the bear fully grown?
Yes.
Is the bear muzzled like the first bear is?
Yes.
I got Habib.
I would go with Khabib because the bear is muzzled. What's he gonna do?
So my answer is dependent on whether or not it's one of those Russian bears that's addicted to jet fuel. Because apparently that's a thing.
This podcast has gone so many places.
So, in the remote parts of Russia, they use jet fuel to power the generators that produce the heat for the people who actually work there to stay there when it's cold.
And the bears drink the jet fuel?
Yes. They get high off it and pass out, and you can find them on their backs.
Keep John Jones away from Russian jet fuel.
And it's a serious problem because if they get rid of the jet fuel, all they're gonna have is a bunch of drugged out bears.
Zoned out bears.
No, they're gonna be looking for their next hit, and they're gonna be hyper aggressive.
Oh man, we know all about that's.
All right. So if the bear gets the fuel, they go to a split decision.
Wait, is the bear drug tested afterwards?
I mean, were they drug tested the first time?
Well, the bear was young. He probably wasn't as grizzled. He didn't know how to do it properly. He didn't have T.J. Dillashaw to teach him how to.
Now he's an adult. He's groomed
he's
now.
a little
He
more
knows.
experienced. What a fucking con. I'm gonna go Khabib because the bear is muzzled. Granted, it could still paw, but I think a bear is more likely to cheat by biting. So I would take Khabib, split decision. Does Khabib even make weight for that fight?
No, it's open week.
Okay,
Catch week.
All right.
Oh, so we got one from Stoges' brother. Oh, we got a couple from Stoges' brother actually. Tiger. Question: Are MMA fighters?
I beg your pardon?
We got a question from Stoges' brother.
What's his name?
Tiger.
Is that his real name?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
Nobody knows.
It's a pseudonym. All right.
Are MMA fighters blending their skills and transitioning well when they go into the WWE?
I'd like to begin by noting that Stoges' brother asked a legitimate question. I appreciate him for that.
Well,
I was gonna say I don't really watch wrestling, so I can't.
I'm being honest. He asked
are we
question.
Are we inferring that who is the greatest IFL fighter of all time is not a legitimate question?
No, Stoges asked a great question. We're not dealing with. Look at the questions we've gotten to this point. This poor fella asked a serious question.
True. I mean, it's a case by case basis, right?
I think most of them have.
Yeah.
Brock was a wrestler first, so.
For the most part, from what I've seen, I haven't been paying close attention. Shayna Baszler, she was fucking bred for that.
She's really not. I actually have a hot take on that. She's not good. She's not good.
Mm.
I'm sure that there are going to be wrestling fans who disagree. I appreciate them. But she wasn't good in Japan, and she's not good in the States.
All right, fair.
Was Shamrock a fighter or a wrestler first?
It depends on who you ask, because Jim Cornette talks about him like before his UFC days. Like, he did show up to train, so like I guess he was a wrestler.
Because I thought he fought first, but I never remember.
Either way, I think Shamrock had a good transition. Tank Abbott was great as the dancing
Tank Abbott was awesome.
as the dancing 3-count guy. Matt Riddle, who I think you're about to mention, has been successful. Tom Lawler, I hear, is okay, I guess.
You know, I don't with Ronda. Like I've seen, like I haven't been watching wrestling as of late. But I did see like clips of some of her matches, and she's legit stiffing some of these women.
Ronda's interesting because she's fine until she has a microphone in her face, and she's fine until she has to act.
Yeah, I don't think she's you don't want her cutting promos.
So you just get to the matches and she's fine, but getting there is a struggle.
I'm not sure. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Alicia Fox. She was wrestling.
Oh yeah. They didn't.
And she almost tore her arm off. Like, not an arm bar or anything. She was she was just pulling her.
Yeah, because she's just you have to remember though, they had her going from Nia Jax, who's a bigger woman. I was gonna say a muscly woman, but she's the bigger woman. So to kind of make that adjustment, to go from, because that's a learning process too for younger performers, is you go from, because you hear other people talk about you have to go from someone who's so light to kind of someone who's a little bit heavier, or someone who hits a little harder to go with someone who's kind of more of the safer style, so to speak. So she's probably making that adjustment, but I think she's been all right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take any Ronda slander.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
Watch a match. Why not? What are you gonna lose? What are you gonna lose?
A few hours of my time.
No, you just
time is a viable
Oh yeah,
thing.
clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. we don't have enough. Well, that was a fine question. Who else would? I'm trying to think of who else could make that transition. I think DC would be a perfect example of a guy who could do it.
Another lifelong fan.
Yoel Romero, obviously.
Dude, if Yoel Romero was 6 inches taller, he'd be like freaking Vince McMahon's wet dream.
Dude, Yoel Romero, if you want to talk about real-time traveling, I'm taking real in place with me because we're going to book this together. What we do is we take Yoel Romero back to the Cuban Missile Crisis era, and we put Yoel Romero in there with Gorgeous George in the 60s and 70s. We would make endless money as a scary Cuban guy. He doesn't even have to speak.
He's the savior that we all needed.
Yoel Romero is my favorite man.
We have another question here from Tiger.
Hey.
Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar in MMA. Who wins? Brock Lesnar.
Brock
Lesnar. It's not close.
Brock by considerable gains.
Yeah, Brock by whatever he kind of feels like doing.
Yeah.
When he woke up that morning.
Brock could probably beat every opponent Bobby Lashley fought in a tournament, like a gauntlet.
Right.
Because who is it really though? It's
Chad Griggs.
Griggs.
James Thompson.
Colossus Thompson. Who else? God, what's his name? He was on Tough 10. He's the dude who stepped on Frank Mir's head.
Oh,
Wes Sims?
Yes.
Wes Sims? I mean, yeah. But Brock is just
at best. I was gonna say at best, Lashley gets a no contest because Brock fails the drug test, but he might fail it too.
The double fail? No, it's if you get a double fail, it's like when you multiply two negative numbers. You get a big positive.
Oh man.
All right. So I think we're done taking our last two questions. Question.
We've only got 2 left.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So they're both from Marty. Question 1: Who wins between John Jones and Prime Fedor?
John Jones. John Jones by virtue of whatever he decides to do.
Basically.
Yeah, I love Fedor, but
I mean, I don't think
Like
I don't
Jones-
think highly of Fedor, but I think very highly of John Jones overall.
I think that's almost like a time travel. You put John Jones back in that Fedor era, I don't think people know what to do with that. Like, he's just different. He's just so different. Yeah, I got Jones.
Like I'm just struggling to see what like huge parts of Fedor's game is was his wrestling. And I'm just struggling to see how he gets Jones down.
Yeah.
And what he does
You're not. Yeah. I see more ways for Jones to win than Fedor, other than just somehow clocking him with a right hand or something.
I mean, and it's not a knock on Fedor. It's just I think you could pick any fighter from history and John Jones beats him.
Yeah. He can do too much, and like he's one of those few dudes that's like long and he knows how to use it, and it's just like I don't think people would have known what to do with him.
Right.
After that first round, they would have went back to the corner like, "What? I don't coach. Help!" Like
I'm holding it in. I'm holding it in.
right.
Long and knows how to use it. Maybe we need to put John Jones against Brendan Schaub.
What's the last question?
Would Ariel be who he is today without New York Rick? And since I don't know anything about Ariel Helwani's show because I don't really pay attention to it, I'm gonna just pass this off to you too.
Yeah. I think so. I think because New York Rick, unless I'm mistaken, New York Rick didn't give him all the access he had with Dana and company. So that's really what made him like to me at least, what made him a guy was, from my perspective, those like pre-UFC event like chit chats he'd have with Dana.
Yeah, I pay attention to him, but I don't at the same time. Like, he just kind of like, I'll check his page for fight announcements, but like, I don't really dig, like, I don't really listen to his show, honestly.
I think he's, yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Yeah. But like, it's not like I dislike him. Like, they're just some people I just kind of don't, like, I hear them, I know them, but I don't really, like, follow them. So, I don't know. I'm going to say, yeah. He seems like he's been working hard this whole time. I don't think he's really just...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he puts in the work. I feel like he would have been here regardless.
I guess my only complaint about him is that he's a bit of a mark, like, for himself. You know, and just in general, he's a bit of a mark, so... That's basically it. But everybody's a mark for themselves. In our own ways.
True.
So,
especially in this business, so...
If you wish to talk about that yet. Oh, what's up? We have another one? A hidden question?
No, I just... apparently Caitlin Young is no longer the Invicta FC matchmaker.
Really? So
Yeah.
who is it now?
No idea.
Amanda Nunes. I know a guy who would take it. Name's Yoel. No, wait, because apparently every time I'm on here, I got to talk about Trinaldo. Francisco Trinaldo would take the job.
There we go.
I mean, I can't imagine it pays well.
Get Tib out before he sounds another fight. No clap for Tibau. It's okay.
I mean, Gleason Tebow has all the options in the world, apparently.
Oh my god.
High commodity out here, allegedly, according to him.
According to himself.
What a bunch of assholes. What a bunch of jerks.
It's just jokes. I don't want to fight him. He's too muscly. He'd throw me somewhere. Was that all?
Awesome.
What a range of questions.
Oh, that was a nice mix of serious and not so serious and everything in between. Sure. Don't make a joke about that. I feel like there was a
Nah,
joke.
everything in between. I mean, if you want me to, I can try.
But thank you guys for submitting questions. I really, really, really appreciate it. Yeah, I had a vision to just make episode 100 a mailbag episode, and we did.
It had nothing to do with the fact that there were no fight cards. Zero to do with it.
Well, the idea was... I can't even remember.
No, it's always been a mailbag,
we...
but I just thought I wanted to stir it up. I wanted to stir the pot a little bit. It's always been a mailbag since as long as I've been.
To be honest, I didn't think it was gonna work out like this. Like I'm really bad at like planning ahead. So like after episode 99, I just went on SureDog and I was like, oh, there's not a card next week. Thank you, universe.
As long as I have been like on it, I guess, quote unquote, it's always been like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do a mailbag. I think the original idea was like a round table, but Stoges isn't here, and there's no card to talk about, so it was like always kind of it was always gonna be different. But it was nice.
I didn't want it to be a typical just we'll talk about fights. Like, no, we gotta do something.
Like at some point, it was going to be the Moscow card.
I think that's what Stoges had mentioned to us.
Yeah.
But I believe Stoges mentioned that to us at like 4 a.m. So. And I believe that was in fact the same night that Stoges was abducted.
All right. For like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was like, and where he fell off a ladder.
Sad.
Haven't heard from him since, so he may still be fallen.
No, he's out there. He's
out there keeping eyes on the
Yeah. Somebody's got to do it, I guess.
BJ Penn, TJ Dillashaw coming soon to
Jesus. He's our California correspondent.
I like that he's our West Coast correspondent. But now we need an international affiliate.
So one of you guys from the UK or that one person in Egypt. You know, what's up?
Calcutta, we're looking at you.
Right, this is your time, man.
We're looking at you, Calcutta.
You know, we need your worldly contributions. We need that extra outlook. You know, you guys can see things that we're not seeing over here. So.
Yeah, you got to give us a little bit more.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that was really fun. I really, really, really appreciate you guys sending questions, and doesn't have to stop here. You can send questions anytime to Dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. If you want to send questions, or you can just inbox us, tag me on Twitter, whatever way you want to send questions, you can always do that. So, guess we will close with, I don't want to do any parting shots. It's episode 100. I'm going to be positive, so I'm just going to give a shout out. My shout out will be to Serena Williams. After the whole outfit fiasco, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, she's been doing pretty good for herself lately. So she's actually she plays, at least at the time of this recording, she plays today at the U.S. Open at 3:00. Well, by the time you guys hear this, that match will have already happened. But she actually played. She played Venus. Was that yesterday? Can't remember. She played Venus within like the last day or two.
I think that was yesterday.
Tennis is out of my jurisdiction. So
it's a good sport.
It's
actually fun.
If you say so.
But
I trust you.
She's been doing pretty good for herself, so she's moving on to the U.S. Open. So shout out to her, and she was out there in the tutu, which I thought was pretty funny. So shout outs to her, man, taking all of this in stride, not letting the distractions, affect the game. She's out there just handling business. And shout outs to the University of Maryland Terps football team. I was kind of mixed on this because they beat my Longhorns. But the Maryland team, then, if you've been paying attention to them in college football, they've had a lot going on, to say the least. Most recently, they lost a teammate for the first play of the game. They went in formation, and they left they didn't put a person in his spot. They left his spot empty. and just kind of just a nice dedication play. And Texas in good sport. Like apparently they knew about it beforehand, so they went along with it and let the clock run out and just it was a nice gesture to remember a fallen teammate. So shout outs to them for still holding their memory for their teammate, and they went along to actually win the game in what you would consider an upset. But my Longhorns have been trash for the last couple of years, so I don't really know how much of an upset it is. But they won regardless. So shout outs to them.
Yeah, Joe, you can go next.
Huh?
You can go next.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. I was gonna say, can I give one more shout out?
Sure.
Pearl Gonzalez, who's been is she 3-0 in Invicta now?
Yes.
I think. Yeah. So since her UFC stint's over, she's been in Invicta, like really handling business. And she fought again yesterday against Diane Firmino, and she had another really solid performance. So shout outs to her.
Cool.
Now
now I have permission. I don't have anybody to shout out. Well, I do have I guess it's a shout out. Just best wishes to the Borg family. Ray Borg's son had to undergo another surgery on Friday, I believe it was. So just best wishes to them. Hopefully this surgery is the last surgery. I'm not too poignant about things like these. This is a young child who hopefully has his whole life ahead of him, and he's fighting something very serious. So I do hope whatever medical bills they have are covered, and I hope that they, I just hope this is the last one for them. And he makes a speedy recovery, healthy recovery, and Ray Borg can get back to being a badass pro fighter. That's it. And if you're a football fan, enjoy your football weekends. This is one of my favorite months of the year. I love September. I love October. I'm a fall guy, so enjoy your fall. Enjoy the start of basketball next month. Enjoy the start of football. Enjoy playoff baseball's coming. Enjoy the weather, because fuck this heat. And that's it. Just keep listening. And thank you guys very much, by the way, for having me. I didn't have to be on the 100th episode. You guys invited me, and I appreciate that. Same way that I appreciate you guys, you guys invited me on for the polling card, and since then it's been nothing but good times. So thank you very much.
We will always drag you on.
You know what?
You
Sometimes
no
it does
choice
feel like I'm being dragged.
Yeah.
When you got to answer questions about Brendan Schaub, Dick, you've been dragged.
We can't go through this alone.
Is there anything else that happened that was of note? Rip Aretha Franklin, I guess is all I can add to that.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Rip.
I won't talk about the funeral though. I'm gonna leave you alone with Rip because it's Aretha.
Oh come on! So if someone died that you didn't like, I would have to hear about Rip again. I'm frustrated right now.
I thought you were about to talk about her 6-hour funeral.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna remember because that
Did you guys actually watch all of that?
No,
I did not.
I saw some clips though.
I
saw freaking half the audience falling asleep.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel bad talking about it because I don't want it to take away from her.
No, I think you can be honest about there are some funerals like that.
It was really weird. It really when she first died, it was weird ever since because I feel like the first reaction when she died, it was for a split second, it was like, oh, we lost this great person, great singer, and then the next second, it was like, all right, who's performing at the funeral? I
did see that, and I saw people upset about who was gonna be like, come on, guys, it's a funeral.
Yeah, it seemed like it turned into a
spectacle,
like a show.
Say what you mean.
It was so just, and I can't speak on every clip. Some of it I just heard about, and some clips I did. I saw the people falling asleep, and I can't even be mad at them because they probably were there literally half of a day. That was a whole work shift, and it just seemed, it seemed so just and this is from an outside looking in, because like I said, I didn't watch all of it, I just heard of it. It just seemed like it was more of a spectacle, and
it absolutely was.
It was more for the people there and not for the
sure.
person.
It was
a
monument to. It was a monument to the guest list.
Dude,
it was like it was almost it was distasteful a little bit.
You see
like,
Bill
I
Clinton
didn't.
falling asleep for 6 hours, but only waking up because Ariana Grande's on stage.
The goat.
Right.
Goat.
And then the pastor who was copping feels.
Creepy.
I don't know if you guys
I think
saw that.
it's weird. I think that was very inappropriate, but I also think it was kind of innocuous. I think that was just because Lord knows, like, you've ever been around an old dude, like, at least me, they're very touchy with, like, the shoulders and, like, the wrap.
I don't know, man. He cupped.
Oh, no, I saw that for sure.
Like, he was getting a little.
But
too
I'm saying,
friendly,
like, I don't think he meant anything by it. I thought it was just old people being. What is Anna Cole's comment about old people? What do you like to say about them?
They're old.
No, you said something else. I'm pretty sure fuck old people was said a few times.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it was just an old person being old and weird.
But no, rest in peace.
What I
Aretha
thought was
Franklin.
interesting about the Aretha Franklin thing was that, like, people who never ever mentioned her suddenly, like, were like historians, like music historians all of a sudden. It's like, oh yeah, man, Aretha Franklin died. That sucks. And then you have people who never mentioned her before reading off, like, life facts about her on Twitter and social media. It's like, we get it. You weak eater. It's great.
Yeah.
Anna Cole, you gotta throw something out there. You can't just not.
Yeah, shouts again to Vina Jandaroba. She, strawweight champion, 14-0, something like 11 submission wins on her resume, 10 or 11. Like, I expect her to be in the UFC before 2019. Not shouts, but like Elena Deladon. I know neither one of you watched the WNBA, but did either one of you catch the clip of her knee hyperextending?
No, but I'm glad. Yeah.
That would.
But I'm thankful
I don't like limbs. Limbs moving does. Ew.
Yeah, no. It was really bad. Like, it looked for a second like the whole thing was about to just snap in two. Luckily, no ligament tear, and it was a bone bruise. She didn't play in game 2 or was it 3? It was 3. For the Mystics on Friday. She's probably going to be playing today. So if she does, I hope she turns out okay. Because they're facing elimination.
Do you watch the WNBA for real?
Yeah, this is my first season.
You need to start doing some, like, reports on them.
It's in the works.
Is this for the hidden podcast?
This is 2019. I'm going to follow the college season and have like a whole thing because I'm still learning the game.
I'd read it. You're still learning the game of basketball?
The WNBA.
Oh,
it has its own little meta game.
I would be interested in that. I would be intrigued in seeing it.
I got in at just the wrong time though, because last year the New York Liberty made the semifinals. This year they didn't even make the playoffs.
Maybe you didn't get. Maybe it's not that you got in at the wrong time. Maybe it's just you got in. maybe.
Hey,
What's up?
We're going to have the number 2 draft pick next year. That's all I can say.
The only thing I know about the Liberty was when they were going to hire Isaiah Thomas at one point. And it took like a world of people to be like, you don't realize that's a bad idea.
Oh, boy.
Thank God that happened. I was going to throw shots at the Eminem album, but I really don't care anymore, so.
What necessarily about it? Because I've heard some good things and some bad things.
And somebody actually, I think it was the Fight Geek. He asked me about that album, and the only reason I didn't answer the question because I'm probably gonna review it, so I'm gonna save all of my thoughts for the review.
You know that Simpsons? I guess it's a meme at this point where it's just like old man yells at clouds.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that was like the first 3-4 tracks.
Yeah,
he's an old dude now. He's not like a.
Yeah, but like he's an old dude who's pretending like it's still 2002.
It's really weird.
In terms of what, I'd like to hear this. I'm interested in your review here.
In terms of like theme and like where he is in the game and like my whole thing with Eminem is like everything since the Marshall Mathers LP has been like The Way I Am remixed.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, you wrote a song about how like the critics don't like you, and like you're having like everybody wants to be around you, and like you never got off that wave. Like you a full grown man, you a 45-year-old man. You're dating like he's like dating Nicki Minaj. He's out here making like films and shit, like documentaries on hip hop, and like you don't rap about any of that. You rap about like the 19-year-old who does like mumble rap because you don't like it. Like at least when J. Cole did it, it was like from a place of concern. Like y'all out here ODing on drugs and shit. Like Eminem's just being a gatekeeper at this point. And it's just like obnoxious.
I see.
We gotta have one old man on the
I mean,
board.
look, if Samuel L. Jackson.
That's what Joe Budden's for. Like.
I have a hot take on that.
Right,
Like look at all of Eminem's contemporaries and what they're doing and like what they're rapping about. Like
I did not get why so many people were angry at Joe Budden, and I don't understand why.
Because Eminem's fans have always been like.
It was not even just fans. Like, did you see? So Joel Ortiz posted something, I guess, talking positive about Eminem's album, and Joe Budden liked it. And Joel Ortiz retweeted him and said, "Why are you liking this tweet?" And Joe Budden, being typical Joe Budden, said, "I support your support." But it's like people look at Joe Budden like he's not allowed.
Yeah, I don't
like...
understand. Well, then again, I think it comes back to like we could talk about this in society measures. Like, you're not allowed to have a counter opinion like about everything.
Right.
Joe,
like if you go one way, you have to stay that way. And it's like you can say one album sucks and then the next one's good if that's the case.
And Joe,
Yeah, the fucked up part is that I don't even think he said the album sucked. I think he's like the label released the wrong single first or something.
Oh no, he
did
trashed
trash it.
All right. No, he trashed. I listened to his podcast. He trashed it.
It's just like,
but like
whenever
it was
Joe
honest
Budden,
though. Like
yeah, but like whenever Joe Budden says anything about anything, it's like people get all like, who is he to be commenting on? Like who is Joe Budden? Like, come on now. First off, "Pump It Up" was one of the best songs of the summer of 2003. I want to hear shit.
But I think people get caught up in like, I get it. I think sometimes his delivery can sometimes be extra, but I think it's always coming from an honest place.
mean,
like I've never listened to him, even if I disagree, and thought that he's just trying to like get attention. Like I really think he believes what he's saying. Like. And that album was trash. Revival, I don't think that's a stretch. Like, that album was terrible.
Which
and
one?
This was the last Eminem album, Revival. It was trash.
You want to know how we know it?
You
want to know how we know it's trash? Because literally, M went back and recorded an album in secret that answered all the criticism from the first album.
Right. So it's like Joe Budden probably did every Eminem fan a favor.
Joe Budden could say the sky is blue, and some people will have a problem with that.
Yeah. If Budden didn't give him this criticism, we would never got this album. I guarantee you. Kamikaze
I'm just saying
happened.
in general, like whenever he comments on something, people get all pissed off. Like the dude cannot have an opinion. It's weird. It's weird.
Kind of like he's also, they view him as the old guy on the porch.
Yeah, like, but like he's that old heads who have experience. Like Joe Budden's been doing this a long time. I'll take his opinion for. I don't have to believe everything he says, but I'll take his opinion for granted.
Yeah. You also have to figure like most of the people who have an opinion about Joe Budden, I'm not even sure most of them know he makes music.
Yeah, like they've never heard him before.
Yeah,
they don't know
Pump It Up
is
just
a
knows him
thing.
from the podcast.
Pump It Up. NBA Street. I'm pretty sure that's the game it was in.
Right, like
it was in games, movies.
Oh, Joe wasn't Pump It Up in Def Jam Vendetta 2. That means he has double the opinion. He has triple the opinion. No, like it, but you need old dudes who kind of know what the game's about. Shit.
But that's not in hip hop.
Oh, come on.
Get that,
not anywhere.
You don't get that luxury in hip hop unless you're like Dr. Dre or Jay-Z, and even then you're limited. It's really weird.
We just don't like different opinions in life.
That too.
Everybody needs to echo what we. Yeah. But that could be a whole nother discussion, and we've been talking.
That's for Dojo After Dark. What is an After Dark dojo, by the way? And please don't tell a place to sell drugs. All right. What is an After Dark dojo?
I would hope nobody's selling drugs in a dojo. That is really.
Steroid. Shane Dillashaw said no. Apparently the dude.
You can't sell drugs in
Jackson.
the dojo. I think every time I hear the term dojo, I literally think of like old martial arts movies, like just the way they used to dress, and like a guy with
Is
like
there a dojo?
a dime bag, guy has like a dime bag underneath his sword, and he's like, yeah, don't sell drugs in the dojo.
See,
I
like
think
my thought process is like the dojo from like oh god, what's that movie? Napoleon Dynamite.
I'm pretty sure they were selling drugs in that dojo. I'm not gonna say nothing.
Oh man.
Owner meds maybe. What is a
Oh,
dojo
God.
After Dark?
I don't know. One day we'll.
It's that podcast from like last month where we all recorded.
There could be no. I was gonna say there
Saturday.
could be no dojo after dark because we'll get tired and fall asleep.
The
We're all old and
UFC
washed.
Calgary, is that dojo After Dark?
No.
Yeah,
We
that's the
didn't make
dojo
it.
after dark.
Perfect. Wow, love it.
Oh man, but yeah, this was episode 100, man. So
Yeah, thanks for all the
thank
questions.
you guys. Thanks for the questions. Thank you if you listen this far because we are well over 3 hours.
Oh, no way. Shit.
So if you guys listen and you made it this far, appreciate it. But we literally did. We answered literally every question. So we appreciate you guys
Absolutely.
for sending those in.
Say a prayer for
So
Stoges.
as always,
He's not here. Say a prayer for him. Prayers up, as they say.
yeah, prayers up for Stoves. Well, he got to be still around because he gave us the BJ Penn news, so he's been snooping around somewhere.
Man.
He's out there doing the California reporter work. He's out here, but yeah, thank you guys for the questions. And of course, as always, you can listen to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes. If you're iTunes, please rate and subscribe and leave a review. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hit us up on the Facebook page. You can just search Dojo Talk Podcast. Find me on Twitter @SerialSensei. All that good stuff. But thank you guys for listening. It's been episode 100. It's been great. We'll be back next week because I believe there's another card next week.
Oh, yeah, just
So,
a little
yeah.
pay-per-view.
Yeah, just a little. Nothing crazy.
I see.
No belts on the
No.
line.
Well, they may not be. There may not be. There may not be.
Yeah. We'll be back next week to cover that. That'll be I'm pretty sure that main event will be. That aftermath is going to be interesting, regardless of who wins. But yeah. As always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. Episode 100. Thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you guys later.